Good evening. Thank you for your patience. We just wanted to make sure that all of our equipment was working right so we could broadcast our meeting. It is 6:34, and I'm going to call this governing board meeting of Wednesday, May 10th to order. Lisa? Present?
Present.
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 Thank you, and I know Councilman Henry Wade is in the audience somewhere. There he is. Thank you for being here. And with that, I would like to ask Alyssa Hollingsworth to please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. One last time.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We have adoption of the agenda, and I would like to remove item 7M, which is our executive session for legal advice. Our attorney will not be here, and so we don't really need, we can't get legal advice without the attorney. So I would like to remove 7M. Are there any other amendments?
Yes, on the consent agenda, I would like to pull number, what number was it? E from the agenda and have an individual vote on that.
Okay, so we'll move E to the first action item. Any other amendments?
Just a question, why are we taking off 7M?
The attorney will not be here. We're still going to go in executive session, but it's going to be A1, not the A3 and 4.
Oh, okay.
Amended?
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All right, call to the public. Members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to ARS 38431, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to any criticism, or scheduling the matter for a future agenda. The board requests that all comments be limited to 3 minutes or less, and that the public refrain from the use of speech or language that is offensive or inappropriate pursuant to Board Policy KFA. I have 2 cards. If anybody else would like to speak to the call to public, you can bring those cards up right now. So first, we're going to call Wendy Black and Morgan Dalton. And when you please come up, you'll have to lift up the mic and hold it really close so everybody in TV land can hear.
Hi, I'm Morgan Dalton, and this is Wendy Black. We are both teachers at Maricopa High School. We both reside in Maricopa. We would like to bring to your attention today the need of a sick day bank for the employees of MUSD. And just some facts and figures for you. We conducted a survey today, and we asked 102 people if they would feel the need of a sick day bank or if they would be in favor of it, and 53 responded, and of those 53 that responded, 94% were in favor of this. I also shared the results with you guys in a link in your email, so you can check it as more people vote as I leave it open. This is a matter that is very important to us because of this wonderful woman right here and her recent experience, and she'd like to share that with you.
I've been talking to family members. In the beginning of February, I had to have emergency surgery, so I was not able to work for 2 months. I was away from the high school. During that time, I was fortunate enough, unlike many who had family who was old enough to work full-time and help take care of me and my expenses. There are so many teachers that don't have that opportunity or don't have family support. This would be a great opportunity for them. We have some data from other school districts on how they work it, because there's a lot of questions regarding how this would work, how it would be tracked, what the teachers would be able to do with it. And we would like just a revisit to maybe see if it would be something we could implement within our school district. Thank you.
It will be added to our budget work study.
Well, it doesn't have to be. I'm asking for a separate agenda item.
Okay. And next up, Henry Wade.
Put it on an agenda in the future. We'll talk about it.
Uche, the board members, Dr. Chestnut, family members. As President or Chair Kudry said, I'm Henry Wade. I am a council member here for the city of Maricopa. But more importantly, I am a liaison between the council and the MUSD. And I come here today because I wanted to say congratulations to MUSD, to the parents, and to the students who attend MUSD schools. I was at the senior scholarship night on Monday and was overwhelmed by the number of students who received scholarships, admissions to schools, certificates of accomplishments, and they raised almost $7 million in scholarships. $7 million. My understanding, that's a record.
Yes.
And if that is the case, it seems like that's a record that can be broken. And the people in the room to break that record are you. Young men and women, if you remember those times when you're at home and you're watching television in the afternoon and you should be doing homework, and mom and dad come in and say, "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm waiting because I'm going to start here in a minute." Well, start and then finish. Because those young men and women the other night were starters and finishers. They saw a task that had to be done, they went for that task, and they represented this community. There is no secret, and I'll step out for just a second. There is no secret that MUSD has had a reputation of not being productive. How many of you believe that? Good. And it was proven again the other night by the quality of those students. And so I was just overwhelmed, and I couldn't wait to come to school board meeting today. I couldn't wait to come and thank you, to congratulate you, to say how wonderful it is that you have overseen the improvement, I guess, or the development of the community, of the schools, and have produced quality students who are going out there and going to make some things happen. I'll say one thing and I'll sit down. For those young people, the opportunity to speak to them, I would say to them, enjoy the next 4 years if you're going to go to school. If you're going to go to a trade school, enjoy the time that you're there, and keep going. Keep moving. There's a big world out there. Go out there and see it, do it, taste it, feel it, improve it, and make it better for those who are coming behind you. So thank you very much for an opportunity to express myself, and I appreciate it. And I really appreciate you parents out there, especially the ones in the red shirts.
Dr. Chestnut, Superintendent's Report.
A lot of stuff happening this time of year, as you can see just by looking around the room. First, we want to start with MUSD Art Walk winners from last week. We had an amazing art walk. We have the winners on display here, and so I just want to remind the winners that are here tonight, make sure you take your artwork with you and the medal that is hanging there with it. So we want to recognize our students that won medals and other things. We have gift cards for our students that placed first. So I have a long list of names here, and I'm sure they're not all here, but hopefully some of you are here. And I want to start by letting you know we did it a little bit differently this year. For our elementary students, we really emphasized participation. And so we did not give first, second, third place awards. We just want to encourage large numbers of elementary students to participate, and that happened. I mean, this place was packed with art, and it was very cool. Packed with people, too, on Thursday night. But we gave ribbons, or I should say medals and awards for middle school and high school. So I'd like to start with middle school, and as I call your name, would you please come up? And we're recognizing first place winners. But if you are a second or third place student here, we would like you to come up and stand in front, and we're going to get a good picture with the entire group. So when you come up here, you got to stay. So we'll start with middle school, and we have different categories. In the painting category, in third place was Zaya Suchait. No, because they get and actually, second place was Zaya Suchait also. And first place in painting was Genesis Sandoval. Is Genesis here? Okay, we'll keep going. And if I mispronounce your name, please forgive me. In the sketches category, third place was Annabelle Daly. It was actually a tie for third place with Luz Marie Salazar Rojas, also third place. Second place was Katie Kemp. And first place was Brianna Eplin. Is Brianna here? Okay, we're going to keep going here. At the high school level, we had several more categories in the mixed and other media category. Third place, Anthony Quintero. Is Anthony here? Second place was Gio Hernandez. And first place was Caleb Many-Goats Largo. Yes, Caleb was first. In the sketches and drawings category, third place was Alexandra Mask. Second place was Caitlin Hunt. And we had a tie for first place, Isawan Chanprapop. And Brianna Reichard. In the painting category, third place, Leslie Escalante. Second place, we had a tie for second place, Katie Siebert. And Isawan Chanprapop. Digital Arts, third place, Kat Vu. Oops. Okay, I messed up. Sorry. Let's go back to painting category. Sorry, Kat. We're going to go back to painting. And first place, which I forgot to announce, Jonah Lim. I apologize. I was excited about the next category there. Second place in digital arts, Haley Petersheim. And first place in digital arts, Victor Ixta. In photography, third place, Michael West. Second place, Brianna Bevins. And first place, Amanda Allen. Final category, ceramics. Third place, Frankie Vega. Second place, Angel Concepcion. And first place, Haley Lemon. Is there room out there? The students, it really is okay if you go right now and pick up your artwork. It won't be disruptive. You're welcome to take it. Please take your artwork and your medal with you. For students that weren't here tonight, we will make sure they get them, but please take your stuff. I hate to see it go because there's some amazing artwork there, but we know we want you to have it. So we will do that again next year. It's an annual event, and I believe this was the 5th annual event, and so next year will be number 6. Can I go? Okay, I'm going to keep giving my report. You're welcome to continue to get that artwork. That's no problem. A couple other things to report on. A lot of exciting stuff. We want to start doing recognition for our spring sports, and we're going to do it in a couple different meetings. We'll start tonight with boys track, and want to congratulate the Maricopa High School boys track team for placing 4th in the state track meet last weekend. So congratulations. So we want Coach Sheldon Hutchinson to come on up here and start the parade onto the stage, and then we'll get everybody up here and we'll take a picture. But we're very proud of the accomplishments of our boys track team. Come on up, Coach. Got to pull out the right list here. He said he didn't want to. You're stuck, Coach.
And I also want to thank the members of our track team this year. Our boys team and our girls team were actually, our girls team's really developing, but our boys team is actually past their developmental year. So this year and next year is going to be really good year for the boys team. Next year is going to be a really good year for the girls team. But the gentlemen that we have in the room currently have actually led our team through this season. They have done an amazing job being athletes. Our 4x1 team took 3rd at the state meet. Even though they had a little snafu in one of their handoffs, they still managed to actually pull off a 3rd place, which is extraordinary compared to most other teams within the division, and actually set a school record, 42 seconds and 76 milliseconds. Thank you. Also, we have a new school record in the long jump by Philip Austin. 23, 1 1/2. He set a new school record. Although he placed 5th in the meet, but that was, you know, by inches, literally by inches. First place was 23 feet 9 inches. So the difference between 1st and 5th was, you know, just 8 inches. Now, Darrell and Terrell Handy managed to pull off a 2nd place finish in the high jump. You know, we're trying to get him over 7 feet this year. He does actually have another meet this summer. He's qualified for the Great Southwest meet, which he'll be representing the state of Arizona. Terrell Handy pulled off a new school record, PR'd by over 2 feet in a triple jump, and went 47 feet to win the state meet. So he is our new state champion. So I'd like to congratulate these young men. I'd like to congratulate these young men. And
Thanks, Coach. You can help me pass these out. We'll call these gentlemen up one at a time. So for 3rd place in the 4x100 relay, PJ Austin. You guys got to stay on stage for the picture. Jacob Cowing. Longman Pine. and Francois Jones. Second place in state in the high jump, Darrell Handy. And first place in state in the triple jump, Terrell Handy. Thanks, Sheldon. Congratulations, boys, and I did tell all of them they're welcome to leave as soon as they had their recognition, so it really is okay if you guys want to leave. You're welcome to stay for the whole meeting, but you do not have to. Okay, moving on. We have the Maricopa High School report from Melissa Hollingsworth.
I guess this is my last time doing this since graduation's in 15 days and 4 minutes. All right, so right now, like since the year is almost over, we're still working on some stuff. But most recently, we had prom on Saturday, which was really successful. We had over 400 people come. It was a lot of fun. And then also, like Councilmember Wade was talking about, we had the senior honors night, which was also really cool to have a lot of the seniors there, and we were all together. And it was cool to know that also that we broke the record for scholarships, so I'm really proud of us. Also, JSA, which is the Junior State of America Club, we had a banquet to raise money for Peru and the floods that are happening in Peru. So we raised about $500 that we're going to send over there to help with the relief. And then also with JSA, not last weekend, but the weekend before, we went on a field trip called the Spring Congress, and we had students from all the different schools write bills, and we went there and got to approve or deny them, and the ones that got approved are actually being sent like to the state, so that was really fun, and we all got a look of what Congress is, so it was really fun. Also, we're still doing our ABC countdown, which is like our tradition that we do every year for the countdown until the end of the school year. So that's been going on, and it's a really cool way to get the teachers and the students hyped up for the rest of the school year. And then we're having our Copa Cram, which is our third Copa Cram this year because they've been pretty successful. So we're going to have that next week, and it's so that all the students can get together, and we'll have the NHS kids and teachers be there to help out with study guides and make sure everyone knows what they're doing before finals. And then for seniors, stuff that we have going on, we're going to do a senior showcase talent show on the last week of school since we don't have class on like the last day. So that's going to be an opportunity for seniors to kind of show off their talents and for us to all be together the last week of school. And so we're also doing the senior sunrise before school on the last day to get all the seniors together, and we're going to have breakfast catered by Helen's. And so we'll all be together on the last day of school. Then we'll also have the senior barbecue after graduation practice on the last day of school. So the last day is going to be a big day. And then lastly, our student council underclassmen are currently planning for next year's prom, contacting the venues, and I've been kind of showing them the ropes on what to do since I planned this year's prom. So it's really fun to see what's going to happen next year. It's going to be a good time. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Alyssa, for good reports all year. Thank you. Well, this is a big week. It's National Teacher Appreciation Week, and today is actually National School Nurse Day, so it's actually the whole week, but we kind of just drew special attention to it today. But a lot of good work being done by our teaching staff and our nursing staff, just two employee groups that are good examples and really doing good work. So it's a nice recognition for our teachers who work pretty hard, especially this time of year. On May 1st, I had a chance to attend the Air Force Junior ROTC Award Promotion Night, and I know a couple board members were there also, and we had front row seats, and it was just a really nice night. A lot of great accomplishments by the students in our ROTC program. These are the 3 officers for next year, and it was just a great event. Also on the 3rd, we had our annual benefits fair, and Mr. Beck puts that together, and I'm not a very good picture taker, but there's a barbecue, and all staff can come by and get a hot dog or a hamburger, and then get all the information on benefit programs. So the vendors sit and the providers sit up their tables in the breezeway out there in the courtyard, and they're open for several hours, so it makes a nice, really nice way to do it. And thanks to Mr. Roush with the cowboy hat on there doing the barbecuing with Suzette and Mo. So it's a good team effort, and it's a fun event, so thank you to Mr. Beckett for putting that all together. That same day, Mr. Beckett and I met with the Maricopa Education Association, and we started talking about the calendar for next year, and enjoy meeting with that group and work on issues of mutual interest. And this is exciting to report on, progress on our certified openings, and as you can see at the top, 44 out of our 50 override positions are filled. So we are doing pretty good. I can tell you that principals have made this really their number one priority this spring, and really it started in January. Mr. Beckett helped lead the way, and we've just done multiple things to make sure we fill these positions. So there are several more interviews this week, and there's some lined up for next week, so we hope to continue to make progress on that. Then you can see by school how we're doing, and the best news of all is that there's 5 schools with the big red none, meaning there are no open positions at this time. They're all filled, which is really great. And that could change. Maybe somebody, their husband or wife moves or gets transferred. So it's possible those could have openings, but we're hoping not. But then you can see at the other schools, Butterfield's down to 1, a 3rd grade position only, and so forth. You can see the number at the bottom. There's 23 openings. So this is kind of our normal list, but that 23 does include the 6 positions from the override that are not filled. So we've made good progress, and I really appreciate the efforts of the principals, Mr. Beckett, the HR staff, to get us to this point. We still have a ways to go, but I can guarantee you that principals are following up on every single one of those. So keep you posted, and every 2 weeks, we make a little progress, so we're going to get there. On the 8th, as Mr. Wade mentioned, that was the Maricopa High School class of 2017 senior honors night, I think is the official name of it, and pretty exciting that we had scholarship offers of $6,750,000. And we do think that number could actually go up a little bit, so I'm not going to call that the official number yet, but that is above last year's record by $3 million. So we had some amazing... We had some amazing students be recognized that night, and it was really exciting just to hear about their accomplishments and that kind of thing. So you can see Mrs. Coutre presenting the the Chamber Scholarship up there. So one of many scholarships that were presented that night, and I forgot to bring my list of the number of scholarships, but it was over 200 total different scholarships, and it was just a really good night. So real testimony to those students and staff at Maricopa High School to get them to that point. Also more information. As of the 9th, Ram Academy continues to make good progress. We have filled 4 of the 7 positions. We filled the administrative position, English, math, social studies are all filled, and we have 115 students being registered right now that are, as of this moment, planning to go there. So it's kind of a fluid group. I mean, there's a few in and out, but we are continuing to work on that and making good progress. So that's pretty exciting, too. I want to make sure you have this on your calendar. On the 17th is our MUSD Best of the Best recognition event at 3:30 in the PAC. It'll only last an hour. And we recognize multiple groups of employees, volunteers, subs, coaches, teachers, administrators, and so forth. And these are all people that make a difference in student achievement, have uncompromising excellence, provide service and dedication to our district. So it's a great event. So please plan on being there. Raffle prizes by the Maricopa Education Foundation, which is always a highlight of the event. So get this on your calendar too. The 5th annual 8th grade Unification Celebration Class of 2021 event will be Tuesday, May 23rd at 7 o'clock, Ram Stadium. So make sure you're there. It's going to be great. Guaranteed good weather this year. There's no wind in the forecast. It's going to be a perfect night. Maricopa High School graduation ceremony, May 25th, 7:30 p.m., Ram Stadium. So please be there. It's going to be here before you know it. Doesn't seem possible. The end of the year is in sight, but it is right around the corner. So that's actually, I think, the best party in Maricopa every year is high school graduation, and it is quite an event. So I'm looking forward to that. Also, on May 30th, Maricopa seniors will begin at Santa Cruz Elementary. So we're kind of in the process of getting the furniture in there that they want, and I think Mr. Roush has decided to replace carpet in both of those rooms. Isn't that correct? The rooms already look really good, but they're going to look that much better with new carpet. So I know several representatives from the senior group have been in there, and they've been very impressed. So that is in the works. So thanks to Mr. Roush for getting us ready for that and making that happen. And that's all I have.
All right, Governing Board member reports. Mrs. Anderson, we'll start with you.
I'm sharing a mic with Dr. Chestnut, so if we fight over it, then someone will have to be the referee. I was so amazed. I was able to attend the Air Force ROTC ceremony last Monday night, and I know it's hard to get to everything, but what an amazing event. I mean, these young men and women were incredible in their uniforms. I was so impressed. So, the one thing I do want to talk about is they did this great POW MIA ceremony where they talk about all of those still missing in action, and it was breathtaking. I mean, it brought tears to my eyes. So the way that these young men and women honor those that serve our country and make it so we can all be here. So if you have the chance to go next year, I would highly recommend it. Commander Kirksey does an amazing job with these kids. So I will actually be going to his class on Monday late morning, just to kind of see the kids in action and see what they're doing. So I'm excited to actually go and be a part of his class. The other thing I was able to go to Monday night was the senior night, and that was, again, an incredible night, as you've heard, with all of the students getting all the awards. And again, what an amazing group of young people. Our leadership for the future is pretty impressive. So I'm excited to go to graduations and all the other things that are coming up. So that's what I've done. Done. What else am I doing? Oh, I've also, oh yeah, minor thing, I totally forgot. I've also been asked to chair the Arizona School Board Association Legislative Committee this year, so that will be interesting. It'll be interesting when I get everybody in the room and try to whittle it down to a couple important things instead of a whole page. That's my goal. We'll see how it goes. But no, I'm excited to do that. I always enjoy learning and talking to other school board members across the state. So it should be very, very interesting. I look forward to reporting back to you on that. So
Congrats.
thank you.
Mrs. Knorr.
Sure. Well, it's been a busy month, because I unfortunately had to miss the last meeting for work. But I got to participate in the Pima Butte Field Day that Mr. Leva put on, and that was a great event, and the students had a lot of fun. And Mr. Leva did a great job, especially being it was his first year there. So really enjoyed that, and I'm really looking forward to all of the activities in the next 2 weeks. And my favorite is also graduation. I'm moved by that graduation ceremony every year and the accomplishments that those kids achieve and everything that they do to get to that point. So I'm really, really looking forward to that, as well as all of the 6th grade and 5th grade promotions and all of those kindergarten graduations as well. So this is really a good, fun time of year, and I'm looking forward to the next couple of weeks. It'll be busy. And I'm happy that the legislature is adjourning today.
All of us are.
Yes. Yes.
And the teachers get a 2% raise.
Yeah.
That's good. Yes, I would like to kind of reiterate what everybody else is saying. I also participated in senior night, and it was a good opportunity for me to bring my boys there as well. And so they're like, "What's a scholarship, Dad?" So just planting those seeds, got to plant those seeds early. So so that was good. And I was also impressed for our seniors who are listed into the military. There's definitely a good number of students that are going into the armed forces. So I definitely appreciate their service and dedication to our country. Also, by the same token, appreciate today is National School Nurse Day. So I definitely appreciate all the school nurses out there at all of our schools and their tireless efforts of working with our students. And also for our teachers, it's National Teacher Week, Appreciation Week. So definitely appreciate all the things that our teachers do as well. And also, I understand tomorrow here at this building from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock will be the Native American Student Art Show. That will be something that I plan to attend as well and bring my family as well to that. So I'm very excited to see our local culture and how they express that in art. So that will be here tomorrow night from 6 to 7. Friday, actually, I'm almost kind of double booked. So Friday, I'm going to go to the Butterfield Elementary Volunteer Breakfast. I was invited by Ms. Thatcher's class, so I'm going to go to that. Then I'm going to run over to the Leadership Day over at MES on Friday morning. So that will be a good event. Attended that last year, and it's definitely a lot of action, high-paced leadership day there. And then also want to thank Mr. Rowden for facilitating the senior center. I know that was a lot of work and what you've done, and I know our community has put a lot of work into that. So thank you for working the community and filling that gap. So thank you.
First, I just wanted to reiterate the sentiment by Mr. Wade in terms of the district and having that feeling of turning the corner, both with the override, with the amount of scholarships. All of those things are great signs of a district really turning the corner at that point. So it's exciting to see. Second, it's an exciting time of year for me because this is going to be my first time joining you guys at all of these end-of-the-year events. I'll be attending the unification ceremony for the middle school, the high school graduation, Pima Butte's talent show coming up tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to that. It'll be my first time at those events, so I'm excited about that. And I know because the remaining red shirts here are a lot of them are teachers. I share your end of the year mania, exhaustion, anticipation as I am a teacher myself. So you have all these big events coming up but at the same time you're still trying to keep your classrooms together and continuing to educate these young people. So I understand all of those things for those of you sitting in the audience. But yeah, I'm looking forward to for a first time being able to attend those events. So thank you. I appreciate it.
Land and didn't fall off a roller coaster and made it back here. That was fun, an experience that I'm glad I've done, and I'm glad I don't have to do it again. It was really amazing. The kids had a great time, and to see the number of students in our blended learning program attend that program, and that wasn't everybody. We took 3 buses between the two schools. And so kudos to the teachers and the students, because those students work really hard throughout the year. And they're still not done yet. They're still working on their final project, which happens to be making an amusement park. So it all fits in. I am going to, unfortunately, not going to make the talent show that I had scheduled. I'm going to be going to the Central Arizona College nursing pinning ceremony tomorrow. A couple of my friends are doing that. And I've also been asked next week to be a judge at the Desert Wind Talent Show. So I'll be doing that. That's added to our schedule. And I'm glad the legislative session is over with. For those of you who rallied to the call to prevent SB 1156 amendment passing, I thank you for your emails, your phone calls. I know that went out on Facebook. It went out to everyone who had signed up through ASBA. And because of your efforts, that died in the committee of the whole today. So thank you for that. And with that, let's go ahead and move on. We have our work study items, and first up is the Santa Rosa Elementary.
All right. I promise I really don't bite. So they had to get the last one to come up since everyone else came up. So, good evening, President Cottray, board members, Dr. Chestnut. This is our annual presentation. Our daily goal at Santa Rosa is to focus on academic growth and making sure that our students are learning. But we cannot forget that to meet the needs of our students, we must plan to educate the entire child. We are very proud to share with you some of the activities that promote student involvement and student leadership at Santa Rosa. Activities that help our students learn social skills, such as working together, coming to consensus, working through conflict, activities that help promote various learning styles, and encourage different student interests. I have a great team of staff members and students that will help me showcase some of those activities. I would like to thank our staff for working before and after school to ensure that these activities are available to our students, so beyond often the regular school day. And it is the work of our entire staff, parents, and volunteers that make these programs possible. So I really want to appreciate and say thank you to all of our staff that is here, that is not able to be here, to our students, families that bring or have to take our kids home, and then a number of volunteers that help as well. I went the wrong way. All right. So some of the programs that promote student leadership and involvement are Student Council, and I will allow our first speaker, Ms. Ashley, to speak. Do you want to stand there, or do you want to? All right. Hold it close to you.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Chestnut. My name is Ashley Adams, and I'm a member of the Student Council at Santa Rosa Elementary. My job is historian, which means I get to take pictures for the yearbook. Student Council is made up of 4th, 5th, and 6th grade students. Every year we have an election, and any 4th, 5th, and 6th grader can try to win a role in Student Council. Positions include treasurer, historians, vice president, president, and class representatives. Student Council does fundraisers to raise money to buy things for our school. At the end of the year, we take our money that we raise during the year and we buy something for our school, such as new playground equipment. Student council is a great opportunity to work as a team, be patient, and you can also learn to have great leadership. Being a member of student council has helped me become a better leader. It has given me the opportunity to work with others and be a part of planning and working at the events. It has also given me a lot of confidence. I think we could improve this organization by getting more students excited about joining student council, as well as attending the fundraisers we do. I think student council is a great organization for our school, and I love being a part of it.
All right, and I will have Ms. Roberge and Nathan talk about Honor Patrol.
Good evening. I'm Mrs. Roberge, and I am the faculty advisors for Honor Patrol. It is a application process, so they have to go through an application, fill it out, get 2 teachers' recommendations, and then we choose the best ones for it. This program helps them become leaders because they are responsible for things like kindergarten playground, being that big buddy on the kindergarten playground, being that role model. They're out in front of everybody in the morning, opening doors, greeting their peers, and helping staff. And the biggest one, and Nathan will talk about this, is that they are responsible for the flag etiquette, putting it up in the morning, taking it down in the afternoon, and they have gone through a class for this. And I will let Nathan speak more of that.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Chestnut. My name is Nathan Horn, and I'm here to talk about Honor Patrol. Honor Patrol is a group of students that help the school out by making sure that everyone follows school expectations. This helps me be a better leader by learning how to care for the flag. This activity helps us become a better leader by helping others, enforcing the rules, and even caring for our school by raising and lowering the flag daily. It helps the other schools by having Honor Patrol. If something goes wrong, the students can ask more people, and if they need help, there are more kids to help. We can improve this activity by making more jobs, which will also make more people come. But in my opinion, Honor Patrol does not need to change.
And next, I will have Mr. Davis and Dane talk about our National Elementary Honor Society.
Good evening. I'm Mr. Davis, and I am the faculty advisor for the National Elementary Honor Society. The purpose for the NEHS is to recognize students for their outstanding academic achievement and to provide meaningful services for our school and the community, and also to develop leadership skills. And to talk more about it is Dane Adams.
Good evening, members of the board and Dr. Chestnut. My name is Dane Adams, and I am the president of Santa Rosa's National Elementary Honor Society, also known as NEHS. NEHS is a group of students with good grades and good behavior who work together to make our school and community a better place. Unlike student council, we do not do fundraisers. An example of things we have done are a phone drive and a canned food drive. We have also helped organizations like our local homeless shelter with fleece blankets for the children. If we were ever to improve this activity, it would to be meeting up every month. Being a member and now the president of NEHS has helped me be a leader. I make a conscious effort to think twice before I act so that I make the right choice. I also think less about me and more about the people around me and what they need. Not only am I in NEHS, I am also in a group called Geek Squad. Geek Squad is a group of kids who help with the speakers for assemblies and help to fix and take care of computers. Geek Squad, again, is a group of kids who are leaders. This helps our school by making sure that our electronics are always in check. At the beginning of the year, we have to teach the lower grades how to take care of equipment. Also, Geek Squad members must train other people to set up speakers, use Chromebooks, etc. Being a part of Geek Squad has helped me become a leader by reminding people to take care of their Chromebooks, but also knowing that people are looking up to me.
Good evening. I'm Nicole Cantrell, and I'm the advisor for Geek Squad. It is a group of 5th and 6th grade students who help us out daily with technology. They have chosen to call themselves Geek Squad. They gave themselves that name. Under my supervision, these students help with a lot of our technology-related issues that we see in the classroom and throughout our building. They were trained at the beginning of the year how to set up speakers and how to properly care for our technology. With that information, they created slideshows, and they went into our lower grades, our primary grades, and did presentations and taught those children how to use the technology properly. They continue to provide support in the classrooms with teachers and other students while they are using the technology, and they often check our computer lab to see if there's any issues that need to be fixed there. There are some issues they can fix on their own, otherwise they come and find me and give me a list of things that need to be fixed. So Geek Squad is a great addition to our school. This is our first year with the Geek Squad. We've already started the application process for next year. We have groups of kids who are really excited to join that. And we're going to use our current members to train our new members. So we're really excited to see what happens next year with Geek Squad. Thank you.
Especially our speaker system that to this day I can't set up, so. All right. So the other part that I'd like to highlight today is some of our student activities that also focus on the whole child, considering our various talents and through different clubs. And I'll let Ms. Reinhardt talk about our Scorpion Scholars Program.
Hi, good evening. I am Stephanie Reinhardt. I'm the TOSA at Santa Rosa and also one of the coordinators for the 21st Century Grant. In the past, our grant has been focused pretty much on reading and math, completing homework, as well as some intervention. With our new grant cycle, this is our first year for the new 5-year cycle, we have focused on providing highly engaging academic activities. So this year we were able to target reading intervention through classes like a book club. We did a science club. They did a lot of gardening, a lot of hands-on activities. We had a Lego robotics club, which we'll hear more about in just a minute. Our students also helped with our, they did a newspaper, and they also helped with our school yearbook. And we had a tech club that did some coding and did some typing skills. We also built in character education, focusing on anti-bullying, and we had a fitness club that was very popular in the morning with Mr. Whitley. And we had a community partner with Copper Sky that came in twice a week and did physical fitness with the kids. Our K-3 students are still participating in reading and math intervention, but they're also able to attend some of the other clubs, so they're getting the kind of the fun side of it as well. Next year, we're hoping to have our program organized more into sessions. So with each session, we can students can choose academic and more of the enrichment. We're also hoping to have more STEM type activities. We need to get more math in there. And we're also hoping to, like one example that we have is like our tech club. One session they'll work on typing skills, one session they'll work on coding, and then one session we want to do a critical thinking thing called Breakout EDU. And that's kind of an escape the room, but it's with critical thinking and technology based. So that's where we are with that. Ms. Hughes?
Good evening, members of the board, community members, and Dr. Chestnut. My name is Kiri Hughes, and I teach 4th grade. I am here to talk about Lego robotics held in our before and after school 21st century program. This engaging approach to learning is the core of our Lego robotics educational philosophy. Children learn by hands-on activities, including designing, building, programming, and last but not least, watching their creations come to life. Here are just a few things that our students at Santa Rosa have capitalized on while working with the Lego robotics. Students become actively involved in their own learning process while building engineering intuition through constant productive struggle. Students emphasize meaningful problem-based learning through integration and application of critical thinking and technology. Lego robotics helps students develop their interests in math and scientific technology. It helps engage students in complex, strategic problem solving, computational thinking, and higher order thinking. And it helps students build their ability to think through problems strategically with the focus on logical reasoning, analytical reasoning, and critical thinking. Lego robotics has helped me provide more science-based knowledge and critical thinking skills to all 1st through 6th grade students I have worked with throughout the year. Being able to assist students in productive struggle while they engage in complex strategic problem-solving skills, has helped myself and all students I've worked with to become better leaders within our schools. As I have said before, this program helps our students at Santa Rosa in many ways, from complex problem-solving to critical thinking to hands-on experience, allowing them to be the driver of their learning, so to speak. It helps drive their ability to learn, all while being able to actively be engaged and partake in an activity that helps motivate and encourage them to problem solve strategically through their complex learning. If we were to further improve the LEGO Robotics program at our school, I would wish that we could have more students get involved. Currently, we only have 8 kits at our site, so it's 2 students per kit, so we can only provide 16 students at a time with the LEGO Robotics kits. Additional supplies like colored electrical tape so that they can have the sensors respond to the electrical tape. Obstacle supplies for buildings such as boards for walls and things like that. And then Chromebooks that support the additional software that's needed. This will help provide a smoother and better learning experience for our students through LEGO Robotics. As I continue my educational journey, I'm excited to see the surprise benefits that teaching robotics in the classroom will uncover next. Thank you.
We also have orchestra this year, which is the first year in at least the 5 years that I've been on campus that we've been able to have orchestra. It is part of our after-school program, and it is taught by our music teacher. So very, very excited, and I know they performed at the art show. So, all right, and then I'll have Mr. Whitley talk about our health and fitness activities that we have going on.
Have you noticed who the oddball is of this? Yeah, I've already been threatened that, well, so. At Santa Rosa, we have a lot of physical activities we get to do, and I love to have this opportunity in front of my colleagues tonight. You'll hear again from us. And so many of these things we already do in our schools. And actually, in all the things that I've taught at the middle school, I had an opportunity at the high school. Elementary is by far the best because of these wonderful kids that we get to touch and have fun with on a daily basis. But the first thing we all do is in the beginning of the year, we have our turkey trot. We all run it a little bit differently depending on our personalities, but our kids come out, and I'd like to work with the police department next year, which Mr. Franek is a little nervous about, to open up some of Santa Rosa Drive, to open up our area and make it a little bit bigger. So that's our first activity. And then we've kind of canceled, on top of all that, we decided to do what we used to do, jingle jiggle, and we would tie little bells on the kids' feet, and they would run around with the bells, but that became overwhelming with all the bells, and it was pretty much like the turkey trot, so we decided to partner with Copper Sky, and we do the jiggle, jiggle, and the Zumba instructors from Copper Sky come and do Zumba with the kids for an hour, so that's quite fun. And this is where the bragging rights really come from, because we're a pretty competitive group here. And Santa Rosa, for many years, I don't know how many years it's been now, at least 3, has topped all of our schools in the district at Jump Over Heart. This year, we are the smallest school, but we have the biggest hearts, because our biggest school only got $5,000, and Santa Rosa was able to do $7,000 this year. And our goal next year will, every year we increase by at least $1,000. We had a student this year, I wish I could have invited him. He did $1,295 on his own. He had went to bowling alleys and talked to the person that was in charge of the bowling alley to get on the intercom and get people to donate to him from the auction bowling alley. We had field days. We break our field days up into K3 on one day, and again, we were the first to partner with Copper Sky, and they come out and help us with that. And then we have a more competitive version of field day for the 4th through 6th graders, and it's more like Olympics. We have the shot put, throw, the mile run, 50-yard dash, that kind of thing. And we're having an assembly for that Monday, I believe, to give out their prizes. And then, of course, Mrs. Reinhardt talked about our fitness club, and the fitness club is great because not only the 21st Century Grant, right, pays for that, so it's a little bit extra money for me, but also the kids are smaller groups, so we have about, what do you have, 15? 15, depending on, yeah. So it was a little bit easier to, instead of 35 kids in our classroom to deal with PE, we could do a lot more activities with them, and they had one or more one-on-one attention from me. So the only thing I would change in our elementary level, and Ms. Anderson talked like this for a long time, is our budget. And I know this is just what it is with way budgets are, but we get about $500 a year to replace PE equipment that 400 plus kids use. And so basically we're just replacing or supplementing things that are already broken, so we don't have a lot of room to grow. So, but thanks to a lot of the grants that are opportunities this summer, we'll be filling out some of those. So that's the only thing that I would ever change in our elementary, is just a little bit more money for the kids to have stuff to do on the playground and in our classes. So thank you.
And then another program that I think you may have heard from a couple of our other sites is the Meet the Masters. But thank you to Mr. and Mrs. Irving and our wonderful volunteers. We have continued Meet the Masters for, I believe, the last 4 years, maybe 5, but 4 years for sure. And even when art is not on our campus, because we alternate semesters, our students have monthly opportunities to be artists. They not only learn about important artists, but they also learn about techniques and are able to recreate that art that they're learning about. So the program makes art accessible to all of our students, and even kids like my son, who does not draw or draw stick figures, is able to get through it most of the days. So really, but you know, we have an art show, and it is amazing how artistic some of our kindergartners and first graders are. You see it really early on, and it's great that we're able to provide that to them really the entire year. So as a lot of our students and staff presented, I did ask them to talk about their individual programs and what could be improved, because one of the things is, all right, so we're doing all these great things, but how do we extend them? How do we improve? How do we continue to move and grow what we have? So increasing the number of students involved. We currently have about 25% of our students participating in our Scorpion Scholars Program or before and after school program. But looking at providing additional activities and trying to being able to get additional supplies to engage and be able to service more students in those high engaging activities like Legos is going to be important. We're also looking at adding additional students to activities like Honor Patrol, where sometimes students are, oh, I'm done by the end of the year, because they don't necessarily want to have jobs the entire year. But looking at adding student ambassadors with Honor Patrol, give them additional responsibilities and activities, because we know that our kids love to help and they love to feel important and feel like what they're doing is meaningful. Something else that we're looking for adding is engaging our older students with our younger students. Currently, we run a kindergarten and fifth grade lunch, and people say, really? The fifth graders are amazing with our kindergartners. But it is just amazing how helpful the older students want to be. So finding other ways, aside from Geek Squad, where they go into the younger classrooms, they teach them how to use the equipment. Basically, the first part of the technology driver's license, you know, how do you care for your Chromebook? Putting that kind of responsibility on our students, finding different ways to do that is very meaningful, and the kids really enjoy it and excel at it. Continuing to extend and impact activities that in an organic way that support our school and community. So focusing on NEHS, continuing from maybe 2 community or school type of activities to looking at quarterly. Just being there more in the community and giving back. Recognizing the work and making accomplishments visible. Something that we have not done a good job of is within our site promoting what is going on. So we've started purchasing bulletin board. We have one big one. It is not up yet. But we would like ultimately each of our programs to have a part or a bulletin board that they're responsible for promoting themselves and communicating with our school and any guests to our school what it is that they do, what are their accomplishments, what their needs are. So promoting themselves. And then PBIS is something that our school will participate in next year, which is positive behavior and intervention support. We will be going through the year 1 training. And so we're hoping that will also support what we already have in place in building leaders and be able to get us more students that are willing to be leaders and to want to step up with consistent expectations and meaningful and relevant ways that we can recognize them. Because what one student finds as recognition, as meaningful recognition, may not be the same for another student. So any questions?
Anybody else want to say anything first? Okay. So I'm looking at your Galileo scores, and you've brought them up a lot from last year. I'm very impressed as far as the pre-testing shows huge gains as far as who's met and who hasn't met. So kudos to you. I know you've been working really hard with interventions. 6th grade, I see, continues to struggle. What are your suggestions, and what are you doing to help that? Well, in their math, their science is great. I mean, their language arts.
Our 6th grade, it continues to struggle, and but this year our 6th grade has had a really tough year. We started with 1 teacher in a class of 46. We tried to hire. We were able to get someone interim, then we got someone interim again who we thought was going to be permanent. So staffing was an issue this year, and I think that played a huge part. So Ms. Hunt actually started the year with all of them, then let him go for math, and then she took him back all in with additional support, and spent the second half of the year basically filling in holes. Because of the lack of consistency. But 6th grade math is difficult.
Yeah.
I mean, the concepts, we see a huge dip. Really, when we looked at our data from 4th to 5th, I'm like, wow, they scored really high in 4th. And then we look at a 5th grade pretest, wow, it's so much lower. The concepts are different. And so they go into fractions in 5th, and then they start really digging into algebra in 6th grade.
Yeah.
And so it is a hole we have, and hopefully adopting a new curriculum will not fix it right away, but over time, as our kids fill the holes early on, we'll be more prepared by 5th grade for 5th grade curriculum and by 6th grade for 6th grade curriculum. But it's not going to fix it overnight because we unfortunately have holes.
No, I appreciate that, so thank you. But yeah, your Galileo scores for the pre-test are awesome. So I know your teachers are working hard. Kids are working twice as hard. So.
Well, first I'd like to thank everybody individually for coming out here and students for coming up here. I know it takes a lot of courage to know you're on TV and and speak to an audience. So thank you for your presentations. And Coach, thanks for your motivation. For some reason, every time I see you, I feel like doing jumping jacks. So I can only imagine what your students are doing as well. So just keep up the good work, and keep up the good passion. I love the shirts. Shirts are great. I think you're one of the first groups that really came in with your own shirts. So that's awesome. I do have a question regarding your positive behavior and intervention support. I know this is going to be a new program that you're rolling out, and we've had the opportunity to sit down and talk about this over the last year. But my question is, in the process of your first year, are there any things that you may be aware of that other programs that may have experienced in terms of the implementation process that you may be looking at in terms of decreasing some hiccups or some difficulties in the program. And also I was curious what it exactly meant about finding ways to make it relevant and meaningful, because as you said, it's different for, each student, and kind of what does meaningful and relevant mean to you in terms of the PBIS program?
So not specifically to PBIS, because we will be entering that realm, but just the amount I know about PBIS, I think it goes very well with my philosophy, and I think overall the philosophy that we as a school have about having high expectation, being consistent, being fair, holding students accountable, but also providing them those huge opportunities to be leaders, focusing on the positive. And teaching them that, it is okay to make mistakes, and we all make mistakes, and we need to work to fix our mistakes. And so as we go into implementation, the one thing that I don't want us to lose is our focus on leadership, which is just something that we have organically, naturally grown within our site, not with any specific program, but just looking at and understanding that this is our future, and we need to start building that leadership and that internal drive within them really early on, and encourage more and more students to join that. And when it comes with that motivation, so we've done character tickets, we have character traits, we've done character tickets and rewards, and we're noticing that this year, the kids are not buying in anymore. It's, a character ticket, I'm gonna get a pencil. So we have to take a step back. We have to go to the drawing board and see, okay, so what do we need to put in place? And PBIS is not going to fix that piece. We think it's just going to support it and enhance it, but we need to look at, all right, so what do we need to now put in place so our kids want to be making those right choices? They are consciously thinking about it. Sometimes that intrinsic is great, but we all have to start with sometimes an outside motivation. And so those rewards, possible, this is what I can achieve if I make the right choices. That external motivator is important, and we hope that they get enough of it that then they internalize it and are practicing responsibility all the time, or they're being respectful, they're thinking of other kids, they're thinking of other people around them. But we are finding, especially in our younger grades, that a lot of our kids are coming in lacking social skills. They're not coming in with the preschool background. They're not coming in from daycares where they've been playing with a lot of students. So it is something that we know we really have to get in front of at a very young age. And we need to figure out what motivates kids today, because character tickets are not really doing it anymore. The pencils are not really doing it anymore at this time. They may in a few years, but they're not right now.
Very good. Thank you.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you. A lot of times it's you want to come before the board and say everything that you're doing perfectly, and right off the bat you said these are one of the things that we don't do well, and you gave the plans to fix it. So I just wanted to say that I appreciate that right off the bat. Second, for the staff, I think, and I could be wrong about this, I'd have to go back and review, but that's the biggest jump that I've seen from the beginning of the year to the end of the year testing results across the board. The 6th grade math, we know that is an issue across the curriculum for every school. So of course we want to work on improving it, but we see that with every school. But you guys did an awesome job improving those scores. So so thank you. And who is the individual that's doing the flag program? All right. I'm going to do some research on this for you, and I'm going to make you a promise if I can find it, and if your flagpole is tall enough, there is a flag called a garrison flag, and it's the biggest flag on a military base, and they make that offer, and I can find that flag. I'm going to come out with you guys, and we'll put that up together, okay, if I can find it. All right.
And he will be there next year.
That's an awesome program, and I'm really glad that you do that with them. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Yeah, first I just want to thank you and your staff for all that you do and all the programs that you're providing for our students. I think it's wonderful, and I know that anything extra that you do beyond just educating them during the day takes time and effort and takes you away from your family, so I really appreciate you guys making that effort to provide those opportunities, because parents appreciate it and kids appreciate it. So thank you. And I had the opportunity to tour your school site last year, obviously, and really enjoyed seeing your staff and what you do. And it's really a shining star in our district, so thank you. In terms of the class, the 6th grade class, you said that had 46 kids. Did you just have like a huge jump in enrollment right at the beginning of the year, or did you know you were going to have 46 kids, or what happened?
No. Well, yes and no. We had a huge decrease because so many of our kids went to the 6th grade blended program. And so it was a huge question mark. And so where we were going to end up. And because our kids from 3rd grade this year, but 4th, 5th, 6th grade integrates technology pretty much on a daily basis, it doesn't surprise me and didn't surprise me that we probably had the highest percentage of our kids going up to the middle school joining the blended programs.
Okay. Thank you.
It won't be an issue next year.
Right,
because,
there'll be no 6th grade,
so
exactly.
it
That's
was a
the good
one-year
news.
anomaly.
Yes.
You gave us examples of the wonderful after-school programs that you have, and it is part of the 21st Century Grant. And unfortunately, that's still up in the air whether or not we're going to receive that. Do you have a plan, a contingency plan, to continue these programs next year if we don't?
Let's hope funding is there. There will be some things that we can continue fund, but if they completely cut it, unfortunately, we'll be able to use what we have, but probably not run all the clubs to the extent that we are when we have grant funding.
And thank you.
Unfortunately.
I know. Thank you again for all you guys that I know this week is Teacher Appreciation Week, but it should be every day of the school year because what you guys come out and do every day for our students is amazing. And you guys did a great job speaking. That's not an easy thing to do, especially at your age, and you guys did a really great job. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we have our physical education teachers presentation. You guys don't have cool shirts, though. Well, what happened? Oh, they didn't get the memo?
You're the clicker.
All right. Thank you, Governing Board and Dr. Chestnut and community members. My name is Peter Petrides. I'm the physical education teacher at Santa Cruz Elementary School, and we are here to present the board with some of the things that we do in our PE classes and talk about some of the curriculum and some of the great things we do at our schools. So I'm just going to continue with a little introduction. Right here next to me is Steve Sorensen, PE teacher at Butterfield Elementary School. We have Paul Krigbaum, PE teacher at Maricopa Elementary School. Marcus Whitley, who we've already seen up here, PE teacher at Santa Rosa. Maramy Abedessa could not be here today, but we'll be talking about some of the things that she put in there as well. She's at Saddleback. And then Jesus Leyva from Pima Butte Elementary School. So we're all really happy to be here. Thanks for having us. What I'm going to be talking about to start off is kind of just an overall philosophy of our physical education program. We teach out of our curriculum that the district provides is called Dynamic Physical Education, a book by Dr. Robert Pangrazi, and a lot of these things that we kind of put together as our philosophy kind of go right along with that philosophy as well. So in our PE programs, we like to have all-inclusive programs, so everybody participates. So no matter skill, ability, size, disabilities, we always try to find something for kids to do. So sometimes we have kids show up with injuries, illnesses of some sort, and it's part of my plan and our goal to try to get everybody, 100% of the class participating in whatever it is we're doing. So all-inclusive program. Next bullet there is engage in activity immediately upon entering the teaching area, experience vigorous physical activity, learn skills, and have the opportunity to apply those skills in success-oriented games. So some of us are different, but most of us just get 30 minutes of PE time twice a week with our kids. So 30 minutes goes by real quick, so just getting them active from the minute they come in all the way through 30 minutes, all the way to the last minute they leave us. Fast pace, quick transition. So same thing, talking about time that we have or limited time that we have. We just make sure that we have all our equipment set up. You know, when we're transitioning from one thing to the next, we don't have to go in our storage bin or go into the bag and start pulling stuff out. We like to have things all set up so that way we're just moving from one thing to the next quickly without wasting time. We obviously try to make our PE classes a fun, positive experience that kids can take with them later on in life. The next bullet there is process over product. So we're more focused what we're doing more on the appropriate skill technique, less on how many baskets are being made, for example. So more on the form. I don't necessarily watch where the ball goes that a kid shoots. I more watch the kid shooting and talk about the form and the things that they do there. And then being a PE teacher, you know, we have to have flexibility, whether, you know, it could be raining out, it could be 110 degrees out, we could have bad air quality. So that's just a big part of our job, is being flexible, being able to have PE wherever they need us to have PE on whatever day it is. So big part of PE teachers being flexible. So I'm going to pass it on to, I believe, Steve for our next slide. Yep.
And thank you, board, for inviting us this evening. Before we look at this up here, I'm going to just briefly talk to you about our K2 PE curriculum as well as our second grade assessment. So we got together, our group of all of our elementary PE teachers, and we discussed what was important to us, where did we want our students to be by the end of second grade. So we studied the standards, and we found out that the vast majority of everything for our K2 standards had to do with motor skills. So when we gathered that information, so motor skills, for example, all of us, you know, we're going to teach kicking a soccer ball. We're going to teach manipulating a hula hoop around a body part. We're going to teach hitting a ball off of a tee. Those are all motor skills. So what we did is we got together, we created an assessment for our second graders. We also created a rubric to score the assessment. I do have somebody that when we're done here, she's going to demonstrate, my friend Lauren. She's a second grader at Butterfield Elementary School. So the test that we came up with our scoring rubric was skipping, jump roping, dribbling a basketball, throwing, and catching. So those 5 tests. So if we looked at our score, now what we're looking at here is the top scores are the 2015-2016 school year. So if you compared our pretest score, 35.33, to our pretest score on the bottom, which is this school year, 2016-2017, it's virtually the same. Okay, 35.33 and 35.55. Kind of amazing how those kids come in like pretty much exactly the same. These are the statistics across the entire district, and it's just kind of amazing to me to see that. The second number is the post-test, and last year's post-test average across the board was 79.96. This year's 82.55. So last year we had 69% growth. This year 73. So not only are we getting better through the school year, but we're also showing growth from year to year. At this time, I would like my friend Lauren Rausch. She's going to show us a couple of the, here, I'm going to give you this. She's going to show us a couple of the skills that we do for our test. And the first one she's going to show us is the basketball dribble. So you're going to, come on up here. We want you on TV. So I want you to look at that board like this, dribble your basketball, and show them how we do it. Let's just do one hand. Very good. And then she's going to jump rope for us. So when she's doing this, we're going to score as being able to do it 10 times in a row with her hands the right way, Her feet are coming off of the balls of her feet. She's not stomping. All right, thank you so much, Lauren. Good job. So, I have the numbers written down here. So, I'm very proud of Lauren. She scored a 7 out of 20 on her pretest, and she scored 18 out of 20 on her post-test. And that's good job, Lauren. The other information that I have, and we just got this calculated. Dennis finally got this over to me today. I know he's super busy, but for this year, 2017, for our post-test, we had over 89% meet their expected growth. So we're very excited and happy about that. So thank you.
Job, Mr. Sorensen. Paul Kriegbaum from MES PE. Thank you for letting us have this opportunity. I'm just going to quickly go through what brings us to our assessment. With fifth grade, we look at our curriculum from 3 to 5, but when they hit fifth grade, we're looking at the knowledge-based test that we've been, as PE teachers, since I've been here for 3 years. I think we've manipulated that test, several times and come together during the summertime. And I think now we finally have it. It's in Galileo. They can go in the computer rooms. We were paper pencil, and that was kind of a pain. So it's really nice to have it on the computer. In the top one we had for 15, 16, 56%, and I believe they're relatively, actually they went down. And so we started off low, and then on the post-test, 71 to 76. So the growth that we're having, especially with these kiddos, is super, I want to say cool to see that they're interested in, what we're trying to teach them. The younger kids, we have them participating in doing the skills that the little guys do, but you still have to do the same thing with fifth. They're still learning how to catch. So all that stuff is there, but now we really hit like the fitness stuff. And through our curriculum, a couple things that stood out for me that I know that we all hit this is health-related components of fitness. So we really hammer that. I know I really hit that at my school so that they can take this information and utilize it in junior high, high school, and continue on to be able to make their own workouts, and so that they're not, afraid of activity. The components of skill-related, just like the agility stuff, the condition, speed, power, reaction time, we can teach that in all of our sports, but it's something cool that these kids are finally, they're starting to learn the importance of it. The FIT principle is something big that we hit. And one thing that I have a Beyond Sports and Fitness at my school, and the kids have adapted and they can make their own workouts. And I know Marcus has done the same thing at his school and just teaching them about fitness. And I think the biggest thing here is just that they become a lifelong learner in activity. I had a kiddo today, they came in, we're doing our leadership practice, and it was a 6th grade group, and they sat down and I said, well, you're gonna have to watch today because we're practicing. And she was mad. She was like, I came here for PE. I didn't come here to sit and watch this. And so that mentality, these scores that we see that are increasing, I know these are the 5th graders, but it was super cool to see that this was a 6th grade girl that I know my first year there, if they knew they weren't going to PE, they would have fist pumped and said, awesome, we don't want to do that. So with that, the student growth is that they're continuing to get better and better.
Do I have to click? Oh. Okay, so to me, this is the meat and potatoes of our job, and we all have different techniques on how to do this, but this is where my heart lies. Dr. Chestnut had a committee, can't remember the name of the committee, but we were to put Post-its on the board of what we thought was going to make it an A district, right? Was that, okay. So mine was nutrition. And everybody laughed at me, including my colleague over here that was here, and I 100% believe that. We all do lunch duty, and we see what our kids are eating, and it's frustrating because they're eating stuff that's, you know, they sugar them up, and then they go out to recess, they go to class, they pass out. So to me, this is a perfect slide. I didn't put any words behind this, and I probably got a little bit of criticism for that, but I wanted to show a picture of this kid, and this is exactly our kids. They don't know what they're eating. So they don't understand, you know, obviously you tell them fruits or vegetables, like, well, boring, but we try to get into the depth of the knowledge of what they do know, what their parents actually don't know. And living in Maricopa, I was going to count, taking my son to Culver's for work today, how many fast food chains we have just down the 347. So we have mom and dad coming home from work 6 o'clock at night. They're tired, they're exhausted, they have to make dinner. McDonald's is an easier option. So I created, well, I didn't create it, I printed them off and laminated menus for McDonald's and asked the kids, every year we do this a couple times, to make their menu of what they're eating, what they normally order. And then they have to add up their calories and all that stuff. Then we talk about calories, trans fat, which I've had emails from parents that don't even know what trans fat is. So this is, to me, where we're going to get to be an A district because if our kids can't function mentally because of what they're eating. I'd like to see some sort of board policy on the hot Takis coming in by the Costco-sized bags. So that would be something. But baby steps, obviously, but I really believe in, if you look at the childhood obesity part, it ends in 2000. The CDC decided that they were going to go by state in 2003, and they did it every 2 years. Well, Arizona actually stayed within the 1994 to 2000 range at about 11%, depending on, but if you think about Arizona and Maricopa, we get kids from all over. So actually our statistics are probably a little bit higher, but most of these kids are meeting that 95 percentile, which is a BMI of over 30, which makes them obese. And we talk about the difference in how you get, the muscle weighs more than fat, so we talk about that a little bit. But just giving the kids an overall idea of the kind, in fact, you can ask Mr. Franek, sometimes I go in the cafeteria and the kids are hiding their food because they're, oh, Mr. Whitley's coming, I better hide the hot Takis. But that's something that at least they're acknowledging because they don't know. You know, I ask them, if you can eat it, can you read the ingredients? And they're like, oh, you know, the sodium citrate, what the heck is that? So just getting them, it may not change their eating habits. You know, they may still eat that hamburger, but it's better than the French fries because at least hamburger has protein. So that's kind of where we go with the nutrition part.
All right, I'm reading this slide. This is Mrs. Abadessa's slide that she put together, but she couldn't be here tonight. So this is basically, it's a pretty self-explanatory slide. The link of physical education and academics. So there's a picture right there. It's a very popular picture of a brain, and if you can't read it, the brain on the left is a brain after sitting quietly, apparently. And so you could see, you know, not too much going on there, a lot of blue, not too much action. And then the one on the right is a brain after a 20-minute walk. And you could see a lot more going on there, a lot more stimulation. And so the slide just basically reads, participation in physical education promotes and enhances brain activity, thus reinforcing and developing academic cognition of concepts. Learning by doing through movement experiences in PE allows for the kinesthetic approach to setting knowledge and skill development into long-term and short-term memory patterns. So basically, there's a lot of different research with the correlation between physical activity and success in the classroom. We, at our school, I'm sure it goes all the way across, we try to encourage little brain breaks, activity breaks for our teachers because of all the research involved in being able to just by moving around, you know, you could see it right there in that picture. Just by moving around, getting the blood flowing, stimulates a lot of different nerve endings, neurons, creates neurons that were never there before, promotes a lot of benefits for kids with memory and being able to retain information, allows kids to be more creative. So there's lots of different things that are out there that show and prove how much kids can benefit from activities. So that was just another slide we wanted to add in there. Next up, Mr. Leva.
Good evening, everyone. Here at MUSD, our PE department promotes a healthy lifestyle. So we offer a lot of extracurricular activities during school, before and after school activities. These are just some examples of some of the extracurricular activities that we offer. So we have our Healthy Lifestyles. This is a program that is promotes a healthy lifestyle, and students are rewarded for exercising on a daily basis. We also have other programs like School-Wide Olympics, Field Day, which we talked about earlier, Jump Rope for Heart, Beyond Sports Fitness and After School, Blue Cross Blue Shield, Turkey Trot, Obstacle Course Fun Run, Run, Jump, and Throw, Fitness and Fun Before School, our 6th grade sports, basketball, soccer, and our MUSD Mile Meet, and Walk Right to School Day. And some of the benefits that our students ultimately benefit from some of the programs that we offer. It allows our students to explore new opportunities. It helps them with social interaction by having students come together and work, share a common cause. Teaches responsibility by having students commit to a program and having them held accountable for attending the events, attending practices, their behavior during school, their grades. It also transfers our learning outside of school. So for example, like I was talking about our soccer and basketball and intramural sports, what we like to do, we like to start our basketball and soccer units before we start our actual 6th grade sports, so that students get the opportunity to experience the skills and get a taste for the sports and see if they want to maybe come out and try it out. And it also gives them an opportunity to expand their learning. And of course, team sports help teach teamwork. And the last bullet I have for you guys is all of our extracurricular activities are here to promote a healthy lifestyle, which is our ultimate goal as physical educators.
Do you guys have any questions?
Ask, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. I was going to ask if you had the ability to be able to make it aware, give parents the option to be able to maybe track BMI for kids that are struggling with weight problems. Do you guys do anything like that? I know that maybe you can monitor it for class-wide, but maybe parents that, their kid's overweight and maybe they're asking, you guys for help, is there anything that you can give me as far as bringing this down for my child?
Right. BMI can be a little tricky, as we know, because it doesn't take into account a lot of things like muscle and just your physical build. One of the things I do is we have we track our physical fitness scores, and we track their height and weight. So that goes home with them. So I can see it, their parents can see it. If there's a drastic weight gain or weight loss, by the way, there can be, parents can see it, and I can see it too. So that's one thing that we do. Is there anything?
We've had a lot of concerns with parents that they talk to them, because they go to the doctor, and one of my parents had said, I spend 5 minutes with the doctor, and they don't even know my kid's name unless they look at a chart. So they really do look to us to find, and it's hard in elementary school because kids, they grow at different rates.
Sure.
So it's really hard in elementary. But we see, what I try to do is promote those healthy snacks, because I think that's where, like going back to the nutrition thing, kids coming home eating potato chips and playing video games. If you go to our parks around here, they're not outside, which comes to the physical activity part, but just the nutrition alone could help some of that extra weight.
Thank you.
Well, coaches, I thank you for coming up here and presenting, the information. And Coach Swartz and I appreciate you not getting us up down there doing the jump, doing the exercise. So you did an awesome job. So we really appreciate that. So you did a great job. So there's a couple questions that I do have. And first, as we know, healthy living starts at home. and that's where it starts. So I definitely compliment you to continue to encourage and motivate our students, because not all families have adopted healthy living, healthy lifestyles, and one of the things that I've learned that I think is important is, everything that, what we eat that's, that the good things that we eat once in a while probably won't help us. The bad things that we eat once in a while probably won't hurt us, but what we do on a regular basis will help or hurt us. And I think that, supporting the kids and kind of planting those seeds, I think is very important for that healthy living, to grow up. But again, it does start at home. And, so parents, I definitely encourage, nutrition, exercise, good sleep, as you know, and what you guys endorse. So thank you for sharing the information with our students. But I do have a couple questions. First, this is just for my own. I have a student that's going to be a 7th grade grader. And in 7th grade, do they have locker rooms? Do they change? So I know in elementary they do not, but in middle school they start changing and going to locker rooms, right? Okay. So are they mates? I know, like when I was in middle school, we had to change. We had our own outfits. And again, I know you're elementary, coaches, but I'm wondering at the middle school level, is that something that does our middle school? Do they require that in PE uniforms?
When I was in middle school, we created that Desert Wind middle school PE shirt. It wasn't required to buy, but we tried to require them to wear a gray shirt and black shorts. But a lot of times when the dress code went out, it's hard to tell if they came to school in that, but we give them the opportunity to change.
Okay.
And they do get graded if we can figure out if they changed. But
Okay.
I think they've let, because it's just hard to, now the high school's different, but junior high, they're supposed to.
Okay, thank you. And they are supposed to dress out.
Having a middle school there now, they're supposed to dress out. They get so many points for dressing out. But yeah, it's hard for them. If they're wearing their shorts, their athletic shorts and a gray shirt, they could be wearing that all day long and nobody will know. And to be honest, I've been in those locker rooms. I don't blame them.
Yeah. So my next question is, in regards to students that have maybe asthma, diabetes, different physical elements, how is that information passed from the front office to you, or how do you get that information to know that, like your students may have asthma or something like that, so you may kind of tailor some of the things that they're doing? Can you kind of paint me a picture?
It's, I know for me, I get emails from the nurse, and then they update that, and when you get new kiddos that come in, that email comes, and then it's also translated to the teachers as well. And when the teachers get that, we talk when that kid comes on the first day of PE. And I already have it. I'm sure you guys do too. We have that information. I just plug that in my tablet, and I just put it next to the kiddo's picture and name, and then we know. And it's awesome because I struggle with asthma, so I know how that works. And so when they try to, I'm having asthma, I'm like, do you have an inhaler? When was the last? And I already know that the kiddos that do, so they try to get tricky on it. But
Right,
it
right.
comes to us in many avenues. So.
Okay, good. Thank you.
I don't have any questions. Thank you for coming.
I have questions. You guys know I wasn't going to get off the hook, right? Okay, so how many days a week do your students have PE?
So we all have, they all get 60 minutes.
A week?
Yes.
Okay, so usually they're like 2 30-minute classes?
Sometimes
About.
160 as well, yeah.
Okay.
And I have an hour block from 1st through 6th.
Oh, you do, a week?
Third through 6th.
Oh, you're third? Yeah, I go 1st through 6th, hour once a week.
But they only get activity once a week? Okay. All right, so I would like to see us work on doing, and I know that Santa Cruz, you tried doing it every day for 5th grade. Was it 5th grade? How did that work?
That was the plan.
Okay.
And the plan didn't exactly go as planned. That was the plan going into the school year.
Right.
That was the plan at the end of one school year, going into the next school year, and based on staffing and things like that, we thought we were staffed for that. And when it came down to the next year, we needed, it didn't actually end up working out that way. So no, we're 60 minutes a week, same type of thing. I have some classes that I meet twice a week for 30 minutes.
Oh.
I have some classes that I meet once a week for 60 minutes, but it's all the same 60 minutes a week.
Okay. And then the other question I have is, how many of you went to the state conference, and was it helpful?
It was.
We all do.
Have you presented at the state conference yet? You did? What did you present?
Leadership and physical activity, and I brought 3 kiddos, and well, I shouldn't say I presented, they presented.
Yeah. Very cool. Okay. No, I think that's amazing. That's great for Maricopa and for PE. With your jump rope for heart, do you still get money for that when you win? The schools that win?
I don't know.
No,
I don't know what you get at that price.
we
It's
do get-
$3,000, you get $200. It's $100.
But you get it for equipment, right?
Right. U.S. Games certificate.
So you're able to get equipment from them, but only the school that wins.
No, everybody.
Everybody that participates now
And
gets
if
to.
they give you bonus according to if you did $1,000 more than you did last year.
Depends on your growth
Yeah.
and what
Okay.
you did previously, what you did that year, but you get, maybe $100, $200, depending on what you did towards U.S. Games.
So how else are you? So are you able to get equipment? Is it a lot of equipment? It's probably not.
You have to be really, really selective. Yeah. I can get it down to the cent, so.
Oh, oh, I know.
That's where I think.
Include shipping.
Eric,
Go with it. I
Yeah.
learned about that. I learned about that.
That's where Mr. Roush and some of the, like maybe you know, but Gopher, for instance, is
Yeah.
one of our, it's hard to get, if we could just go anywhere, it'd be great. But if you go to Gopher, which has got good quality product that lasts,
Right.
it's expensive.
It is expensive.
$500 barely gets you, yeah.
Playground
So, I mean,
balls.
It looks like a lot on paper, but when you look at what you get,
It's not enough.
no.
So I guess my next question is for Dr. Chestnut. Is their PE budget part of their site budget? Is that up to principals to decide how much is put into that?
No, we earmarked.
Oh, sorry, we're sharing it.
We earmarked 500 for them, and it's part of the school budget, but it's supposed to go to PE, yes.
Well, I'm going to say 500 is not enough. That barely buys playground balls. So I just think we need to have that discussion, that if we want our kids to be successful, not only do they need textbooks and curriculum, but they also need textbooks and curriculum for the PE department. So I would like us to look at that. Okay, so on the days when you have activity, have you tracked behavior issues and academic growth? Going back to the slide that you've shown, have any of you tracked that?
No, we don't have access, immediately to the academic growth. It's hard enough for us to get each other's growth for PE. I had to do that through somebody at the district office. So we don't have that, but that would be very interesting.
It would be interesting, and it would be great data as kind of proof as to why you need more equipment. I'm just saying. Data is always good, and if it can relate to an academic growth as well as fitness and a decrease in behaviors, it could be a great bonus as far as pushing your programs.
One, as well as you know, Dr. Pangrazi advocates for equipment for each kid.
Yes.
It's not one shared with 5 kindergartners, which fight over.
Everybody needs their own playground ball.
Right.
Yeah, okay. All right, so do you have a PE curriculum night on student-led conference night, where let's say you have stuff set up in the multipurpose room where parents can come and see what you do? Parent support is the best way to promote a program.
That hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
My 3 years, but with our leadership and where we are, and we're almost lighthouse, I believe next year is what our goal is, to have that run with I'm looking at like a 2nd or 3rd grade with the whole, and just inviting that core group.
Mhm.
And then another one maybe later on with an upper grade, maybe 5th grade, and just let those parents see what
they're doing.
Yeah, and you'd probably do it a little bit later on so they can kind of get some of the routines down and stuff, but then you just throw it out and let them see, all the different activities and stuff. And my goal is to probably have the kids kind of run that.
Let the kids do it. Okay, no, I'm impressed. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for continuing your education process through the conferences that you go to, because I know that that does come back to our academic growth and to our goal of being an A district. So I appreciate what you do, and, you know, and meeting with Marcus 8 years ago, how long was it? I appreciate the work that you put into what you do. So thank you. So, and thanks for doing the presentation for us.
And I just, kudos, thank you. I like hearing that you guys are all meeting together, really planning that PE curriculum across the entire elementary level. That's important that you guys do that. And Lauren, you stole the show.
Yeah. Oh, hey, how did it go with the ropes course? Mr. Whitley, you took your...
We had a blast. Fifth grade was fantastic, except part of the course was muddy. So it was really hard to stabilize themselves on a wire when they were all muddy. We took sixth grade as another time and did the same exact course. All the kids had a blast, and I think that the cooperation piece, kids that don't like to touch, like even when we did our training, it was interesting to see how, you know, we have to get close, and they actually, the sixth grade actually.
Like to touch.
In an appropriate way.
Yes. Well, we actually separated the girls. I wasn't really sure too much, but we put girls in a group so they felt more comfortable, and that worked out much better. Because I think sometimes the girls kind of hinder themselves because they don't want
At
the
that
boys.
age. No, I'm glad you're using it, so thank you. And one last question, sorry, President Petrie, I forgot this. What can we do to help your program be successful as a board?
You already hit it on the head, I think. It's money.
Equipment helps.
I take a pay cut to get, I'm sorry, just to get that equipment, because it's just, as a smaller school, because my understanding was, at one point, it was based on numbers, where in Butterfield's got 800 kids, we've
Yeah.
got 400 kids, but our equipment we still have 30 kids in a class. So if I don't have 30 balls, or whatever,
Right.
it's hard to
be successful.
Yes, and you have to count on that leadership piece for those kids to get along. You have to know your kids to put them in those groups. But I think that would be the biggest success for us, is to have, because all of our spaces are different too.
Right.
So how we enter things and do things is different, because Steve's got a full gym, but he's not able to use it half the time because of lunch or whatever, and the weather dependent. So that equipment's always helpful.
I would like to add something. I know.
Go for it.
Okay, I'll go for it. So driving by Kyrene School District, you're looking at all the outdoor areas, huge shaded areas, okay? With the, they're the
giant Ramones.
yeah, they're the shades, not necessarily the
Yeah.
hard,
High top
not
is-
the hard top, but
It's the
those-
sun cloth.
Being out of the sun, you know, means everything. You know, if you could use that anytime, as long as the kids are out of the sun. It's just really hard on the kids to be out there for even 30 minutes for most of the school year. You know, even in October, November, that sun is still beating down, and the kids, oh, I'm hot, I don't want, you know, and it's just you know, if you get them out of the sun, it means everything. They're just more active.
I would
I don't
agree
know
with
if that's
that.
anything,
Yeah.
possibility someday, but that would be amazing.
Well, now I'm going to date myself. I taught in Kyrene and was part of the team that wrote the grants to get the sunshades for the PE teaching areas outside.
Well.
So that's how they got those put in.
Okay.
Is
Okay.
grants through different companies. So we can get information on that probably from Dr. Chestnut in some different areas. But yeah, I agree. It's a whole skin cancer issue. So, no, good comments. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Dr. Chestnut, class size targets for next school year.
Well, it's pretty exciting to be able to report on class size ratios and targets because we passed the override and have a lot of additional certified staff. So we're going to be able to make some good progress on this topic. So just to kind of run you through stuff that you kind of know, and but just to review it for everybody. Ratios is where we start with staffing, the staffing plan. And Mr. Beckett works on this really hard. We spend a lot of time reviewing these numbers in cabinet every year. And, you know, our board policy just talks about the fact that class size ratios really help determine our budget. And so we spend a lot of time on this. And so you can see that I have last year's numbers up there, or I'm sorry, this year's numbers compared to next year's numbers. So class size ratios went down because we passed the override. So not real dramatic at kindergarten first grade, dropped by 2 as we staffed our kindergarten first grades. Second, third, fourth, and fifth, a lot more dramatic in the ratios. So as far as projecting future staff, you can see that second through fifth dropped by about 5 students and sometimes as many as 8 in grade 4. Those are the grades that were really largest class size. We've always, over the years, tried to keep kindergarten first smaller, and we've done okay at that. And then second, third, fourth, and fifth have been, you know, larger. So they had the biggest drops, and so you can see that the ratios really 22, 23, 24 is what we are hoping will be the ratios that we'll have for this next year. And that's how we build our budget and our staffing plan. Same way with 6 through 8. This year, 23 was the ratio in middle school, grade 6 through 8, and next year it'll be 21, and then likewise high school was 28 ratio this year, and it'll be 25 next year. So this is how we allocated staff, and ideally, you know, the numbers would start low and then continue to go up. But sometimes we have a little bit larger, or I'm sorry, a little bit lower class size ratio at the middle school level because we have more subjects to cover, for example. But those are the ratios, and that's how we really build the budget and build our staffing plan. That takes us to the next slide, which is class size targets. So going back to that first slide, if everything worked out perfectly, if every kid that's here right now shows up next fall, and they show up in the same schools, in the same neighborhoods, and the same grade levels, just as they could, theoretically, those would be our class sizes on the right-hand side there, the 17, 18 numbers. That's what we're staffed for. Now, there's other wild cards. We may not be able to hire every staff member. We still have 23 to go, right? So that's another wild card. And then we also know that kids move in and out, and you know they might be at one school one year, and the bulge is going to be at another school the next year. So there's always some of those wild cards, and you never get it perfectly balanced, but we do the best we can. That brings us to targets. So kindergarten first grade, let's start with kindergarten. This year the target was 29. In other words, if you had one student over 29, we're going to do something. If it's a bunch over 29, we're going to hire an extra teacher possibly. If it's just maybe one over, we might do a parapro, hire a parapro to work in that grade level, or we might pay overload pay to that kindergarten teacher. For 17, 18, you can see that target number is going to go down by 2 for kindergarten and first, and it's going to go down by much more in grades 2 and 3. It's going to go down by 4 in grades 2 and 3, and 4 and 5, it's going to go down by 5. So that's good news. We're going to have lower class size targets, and we're going to keep those numbers at that target or below if at all possible, and if not, then we're going to do something about it. 6th grade, then similar thing, dropped by 2 from 35 to 33, and 9th grade goes from 37 to 35. So just a little summary slide here. So this would be to put those numbers together. Our anticipated class sizes for 17, 18 would be kindergarten should range between 23 and 27. Okay, that's kind of our ideal number. First grade, 23 to 29. Second, third, fourth, fifth. You can see the numbers there. 6th through 8th grade, 21 to 33, and 9th grade, 25 to 35. So secondary is always a little bit different because there are exceptions. PE is a little bit larger, band classes are a little bit larger, and that's always an exception. Also, got to remember too, at the elementary level, if we have a class that's maybe over the target and we hire a parapro, or we pay some overload or something like that, we typically have a couple that are under the ratio, right? Because kids never show up exactly where they are, but we try and match the hot spots, kind of some of our last resort things are. The first 10 days of the school year are very crucial for us, and we reserve the right to move a teacher if necessary. And Mr. Beckett is really quite good at projecting this stuff. And I think in the 5 years I've been here, I think we've only moved about 2 elementary teachers, which is actually pretty remarkable. So it's an example of the fact we spend a lot of time on the numbers, or Mr. Beckett does. And so, but that is something we kind of reserve as an option if we have a bulge and it just makes sense numerically to make that move. But I just want to reemphasize the fact that despite all of this planning, you never get every grade level in every school the same class size. It's virtually impossible to do that. We just try and smooth that out as best we can, and we're going to have better luck with that with additional teachers for next year. But be glad to take any questions you have about that.
Well, I'm just wondering why we're going to keep our targets so high if our actual numbers are going to be so much lower. I think it would send a better message to our teachers and our parents if we set a lower target ratio that's more consistent with what we expect to have, which was your first slide.
Yeah, well, I think it's a good question. I guess the way I'd answer that is that we have the staffing plan based on the numbers on the left-hand side. We will have some enrollment growth if we have numbers that are more like the right-hand side of that column, and we will be able to hire teachers to address that. But we also have to have a realistic plan. This is a similar number range to what we've had in past years, and it as far as the, from the kindergarten from the 23 to 27, there's that 4-student span between the ratio and the target, et cetera, different for different grade levels. There's going to be some variance, I guess, is the answer, and this is how we accommodate for it. I wish those numbers were lower on the right-hand side of that column, but I can't tell you that we could financially pull that off and sustain that over a period of years. We could maybe pull it off for 1 year if we had an enrollment bulge, even with the hiring of additional teachers because of enrollment growth. It's a puzzle, and that's our best guess of what we can accomplish next year at this point in time.
So my second question would be, just based off of your current suggestion or the current numbers, you took fifth, fourth, third, and second down considerably, but kindergarten and first grade only dropped 2 students, which in my mind should be where we have the lowest class sizes. And so I would think that, hopefully we could take at least kindergarten and first grade down a little bit more.
Yeah, that's
similar to the second through fifth.
That's true. I mean, that's a good point, and that has been our focus the last couple of years, kindergarten and first grade.
Right.
This was how our plan evolved. Mr. Beck, I don't know if you want to add anything to that?
Unfortunately, this is not an exact science. And as soon as we drop that to 25, we're going to have Pima Butte with 3 kindergarten classes of 27. And all of a sudden, then we're back in kind of our situation again. I think there has to be some realistic buffer there to allow us to have some flexibility within that pattern with our current staffing.
Right. But just because Pima Butte might balloon to 27 doesn't mean we can't lower the target ratio, because, one option is just pay the teacher $5 a day per student. That's not going to bankrupt our district. It's going to show that teacher that we understand that this class size is unacceptable for kindergarten, but that we're doing everything we can to compensate for that, and that our goal as a district is not to have 27 kids in a kindergarten class.
So you're looking at dropping the targets, or are you looking at
The targets.
dropping the class sizes? My personal opinion is, I would like to see the kindergarten class size be 20 to 25. That's what I would like to see.
25 max, for sure.
For the kindergarten.
And first grade, I think first grade should be lower than second and third. I think first could be 27 or something.
I don't
like
know
that.
if that's doable or not, but to be honest, anything over 20 for kindergarten is too many.
Yeah, and And I think it'd probably be tough for us to lower it to 20, given our
But
current
if
circumstances.
we have that range from
Right,
20 to
25,
25,
yeah.
I think that's a range, that's a doable range.
Well, I guess it'd be case by case, though. I guess it wouldn't depend on how much room, how many classrooms are
Right,
available.
well, something
and-
like Pima Butte,
I
they
mean, it
might
just-
have those 25
Yeah.
in the classroom. But maybe one of the schools like Butterfield, where they have a larger school, maybe they have classes that are 20, 21, 22.
And
To
the
Dr.
other thing-
Chestnut's point, you run the risk of when we set that target and it's lower, but what happens when all of a sudden the state changes the formula on us, so for a particular reason, we're getting less money, and then we have to increase it, and then it gives that flavor of now we're going backwards. So I understand the conservative aspect to dropping it too low, because we also don't want to have to retrace our steps and say, well, now we're increasing.
And I get that, but I think the target ratios also impact open enrollment. And in my mind, I don't want a school open enrolling up to 27 kids in kindergarten. I think that shouldn't be our goal.
Yeah.
And so I think that setting it lower so that we don't, and obviously it might happen to get to 27. And the other thing is, and I understand the legislature, but we have money today for these kids this year, and I have a really hard time budgeting on the what ifs. I mean, we really just have to invest in what we have. I mean, it's almost like opposite.
know, yeah.
It's almost like opposite of how you financially plan for your family, right? For your family, it's like, oh, I'm going to save for the future, but this is the future. We shouldn't save any money. We should invest every dollar into them, because they are the future, and we only have today and tomorrow and this school year to get them to where they need to be. So,
Yeah, just to clarify a couple things. As far as open enrollment, principals keep 2 below the cap, below the target rather, for moving growth in their service areas. So we don't go to the target with outside. Also, just to repeat myself, the left-hand column is where we hope we will be on opening day. The targets are if it doesn't work out exactly the way we anticipate. But I think I hear the board saying that they'd like to have some lower class size targets. We can look at that. I can bring back some recommendations. I'm just telling you, this is what they are as of right now.
I just want to support what Mrs. Nora is saying. I would like us, I guess my question is, what do we need to do as a board? What's the next step? To look at lowering the target rates, because when the target rates are that high, we don't even consider hiring another teacher, let's say for 5th grade, unless you're over that target rate, correct? Okay. So if we could, as a board, look at lowering those target rates, and yes, I realize it means more staff, whatever, but I think that I would like to see lower target rates as well. The next question I have is for those teachers who say, you know what, I know that I've got 25 in my class and our target rate is 25, I'm just putting a number out there. But I will go ahead and I can handle 2 or 3 more students. Do we or will we pay them a stipend on those 2 or 3 students that she's taking over the target rate? Because I think that could go a long way, just like we do for high school. I know we did it for some, but I would like to see any teacher that takes over they say, yes, I can handle, some teachers can handle 27 or 30 kids. However, I still believe that the lower class sizes, higher academics, because you've got teacher can pay attention to the students and vice versa. So I know we've had this discussion over the last 6 years, but I still am of the philosophy, lower the class size and find the money to hire the teachers. So back to my original question, what do we as a board do next in order to address those target sizes?
Well, I clearly hear the board saying they'd like to have lower class size targets, so I'll be glad to bring back some numbers. I'm just telling you, these are the numbers we've been talking about for the last month or two, and be glad to bring you back other ideas. Yeah, the cost doesn't come in until you exceed the target. We're staffing for the numbers on the left-hand side. We think we'll be very close to those numbers. There's going to be some hot spots, though. There's going to be some exceptions. To answer your question, at K through 5, if you're over, because some teachers do say, yeah, I can take 2 over the target, and we do pay them the overload for that if those kids are there for 10 consecutive days. And then, you know, grades 7 through 12, 6 through 12, we handle by purchasing extra duty or overload stipends, right? So we try and manage class size that way.
I think when you get to your secondary level targets, I think those are good. Those aren't bad. I mean, we'd all like to see smaller, but I think in the elementary.
35 is too big.
Yeah, elementary, we've got to do something to see what we can do, especially those first 3 primary grades. You know, if you can bring that back, we'd love to entertain that. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Can I just make one comment here? You're looking at 20 teachers per each of those grade levels. And so the 17 teachers that we allocated for that K through 5, that's the impact that made on those, those classes. Yeah. So, I mean, it's a tremendous benefit. Obviously, it's done a huge job in lowering those class sizes. But if we continue to move it down, we're talking about additional staff, whatever level.
Right.
Well, it definitely sounds like you guys are definitely meeting about it and coming up with different contingencies if this happens and that happens. So I can definitely tell, you know, I mean, there's so many unknowns, you know, so many different variables. So it sounds like you're almost like building the matrix and kind of if this happens and this, if that happens and this, and we got this space and that space. So I know it's not easy, you know, to do this. So I guess in a way it is almost a form of rocket science. So thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Chestnut, draft budget recommendations. And we do have further in the agenda where we're going to set another work study session date.
I just happen to have a slide on this.
You need the mic.
I don't have a microphone, but I have a slide. Not working tonight. So nothing's changed on the left-hand side. Additional revenue we're anticipating for 17-18, $1,088,000. On the right-hand side, new expenditures. Based on our discussion at our last meeting, we talked really about items 1 through 5 being pretty much okay the way they are. Item 6, we talked about secondary activity buses. And so we went back to the drawing board and recalculated some numbers. Fred came up with some new estimates. Tom worked on that too. And currently, Maricopa Wells Middle School has an activity bus, even though they don't have 21st Century this year. It's 2 days a week. It is not heavily used. It's about 10 students per night. Mr. Abel believes that that is sufficient. He would love to see that continue. He thinks he can get some more kids taking advantage of that with more tutoring clubs after school and that kind of thing. Athletes can ride those buses. They do have to leave practice early because of scheduling, because of when the bus leaves, but coaches know that if an athlete needs to get on that bus, they can on Tuesdays and Thursdays. In his judgment, parents have adjusted and have come up with carpools and that kind of thing for the other days of the week for practice. So if we went with a 2-day-a-week activity bus at the middle school and then 160 days of service, which would be pretty much all year at the high school, 3 buses at the high school, I think 2 at each middle school. Total cost, including a security person at the high school, will be $114,000. The great fear at the high school is the kids that hang around waiting for activity buses, and they are very difficult to manage. That's actually the main reason we ended the high school activity bus about 4 years ago. And so that would be the way to solve that is to add an extra security person at the high school. That would be $114,000. I'll roll through this and then take questions. So if we did that, we could take the $80,000 that we're saving on the activity bus and add that into progress on employee pay. That seemed to be an area of interest of the board last time. I put the red items. These are items from the budget committee recommendations that we're able to allocate some money for. Really, items 7 through 18 were all budget committee recommendations, and we've been through, I think, all the rest of those, and then the 2 columns add up left and right. So, I'd be glad to take your questions or comments.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. What's the red for?
Those are the everything. Items 7 through 18 were budget committee recommendations.
Okay.
And then I just highlighted the red ones that we're able to allocate some funding to thus far.
Well, you know, we're going to take a look at, you know, have a full discussion when we have our work study session, but I certainly appreciate the continued increase on the employee pay. I think that'll go a long way. Does anybody have any questions or discussions?
I do. When we have our next budget meeting, Dr. Chestnut, can I ask for some additional information? So number 7, what is that percent for that COLA?
It's 2.5%.
Oh,
2.5.
smart. I didn't even think
Yeah,
about
we just
that.
remembered we had an extra mic. Thank you.
Okay, so it's 2.5%. And that's for everybody, right, across the board?
Correct, and that does not include salary improvement approved by the legislature for teachers.
Yeah, that's not even in the picture. So can I
An
ask
additional 1%.
to see what it would be? We do the 2.5 across the board for all staff, and then for teachers, what the cost would be to give them another 5%. I'm sorry, 0.5, another 0.5%. So it brings them up to 3 on our side, just for teachers. What would that 0.5 cost us?
There, we can figure that out.
Okay. And I just want to remind board members that we had, the budget committee, and we had meet and confer, and they brought several things. So I have an issue with the after-school buses, just because I would rather see that money go into teacher pay. So I just want us to keep that in mind. That was not on any of the budget proposals that came to us from meet and confer or from any of the schools that have been presenting this entire year. Their
it's
big
sounding
thing has
like-
been pay
It was
and
sounding like
curriculum.
we possibly have a solution to that, so I don't know if it's going to be the amount that was originally requested, correct?
Well, no, this dropped actually. The
That
amount
is-
the amount that Dr.
That's
Chet-
already been
that-
adjusted?
It was
Okay.
194 at the last board
Yeah.
meeting, so he dropped it 80.
Yeah. So I would just like to see what that, to bring our teachers up to a 3%.
Sure.
And then all other staff would be the 2.5. So I would just like to see what that would cost us, because that is where budget committee and meet and confer and everybody else asked where most of the budget money went. And I think it needs to be with our teachers. So I know that we're going to have another meeting, but I just would like to see that.
Get those numbers.
Get those numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would appreciate those numbers as well.
And also, I would like, and I know I sent you an email, Dr. Chestnut, in regards to the plumber, what that would mean in terms of what a salaried position would be, and then also what it would mean to if we had a separate vendor come in and do that. Would that be possible to get that information in terms of the vendor? I mean, I know we could with a full-time employee, but so I know that's a priority for one of our maintenance department is to get a plumber. Is there possible to get me information on that as well?
Yes, yeah, we think we have a solution to that, so we'd be glad to share
Okay,
that.
great.
Any other requests for information? Now would be the time to ask. Okay. All right. So let's move on to our consent agenda. Remember that we have moved item E from the consent to the action items. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, and then our first action item is item 6E, approve the second and final reading of policy JFABD. Dr. Miller, you requested that this be removed from the consent agenda?
And I think I've expressed my sentiments on this, and so I really don't want to jump on my soapbox again.
Okay.
And so I just would like just to do an individual vote on
Sure.
this, just for me, just symbolically, so I can cast my vote
Okay.
of conscience.
So do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. Motion passes. Item 7A, discussion and possible approval of the personnel schedule. Mr. Beckett, welcome back. We've missed you. You
Have
need
the-
the other mic, though.
I'm
That's not
sorry.
going to work.
Thank you. Once again, it's good to be back. Appreciate your support of our recruitment efforts. It's been a busy spring for us. You have the personnel schedule in front of you tonight. President Coutray, members of the board, Dr. Chestnut, I'll take any of your questions at this point.
No questions?
No questions.
She said no questions. So
questions.
do I have any motions?
Well, I would like to motion that we approve the personnel schedule as is.
Do I have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Beckett.
Thank you.
Discussion and possible approval to set a date for a work study session for, to continue our budget discussion. So everybody get your calendars out. Let's see.
After May 18th at any time.
Ooh.
Yeah, well, me, I go the next week. All right, so do keep in mind that on May 31st, we have our
Regular.
second board meeting for the month. We moved it from the 24th because of everything going on that week.
What about the 30th?
On
It's
Tuesday?
a Tuesday.
I'm good.
There may be a possibility that I won't be in town, so, but that's fine, because Mrs. Norris will hopefully be very capable of running that meeting, if I'm not here.
What are we looking at, in the day or evening? Because the day I won't be able to make that
We can make it evening.
It has to be
Yeah.
evening.
We could do evening.
I would have to be 6:30 though.
We could do
Yeah.
7. I mean,
Well, what
Yeah.
about June 1st, that Thursday?
I'm going to be out of town.
I will be out of town as well.
I can do 7 o'clock on what the 30th would work for me because our behavior coach she'll be leaving about 6:30, so I can come over here by 7
A 7's fine with me.
and get a babysitter.
Okay, so
Actually, Jolene will
5:30
be
at 7
home.
if I get a flight early enough.
So 7 o'clock,
that's
May
a week.
30th, Tuesday, May 30th.
Okay, does that work for everyone's schedule? And so do I have a motion?
Well, I'll motion that we approve to have special session on Tuesday, the 30th at 7 p.m. here in this building.
Fantastic, do I have a second?
I will second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
So it's 7 p.m., right?
7 p.m.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So our next item is the public notice hearing for the adopted budget revision. So this is what we have to do. Although I don't see anybody, is there anyone that'd like to speak at the public hearing? Nada. Okay. Let's move on. Discussion and possible approval for the fiscal year 2016-17 budget revision. Mr. Roush, is there anything you want to discuss on this? Present? Nothing? You have to use the other mic. You really got to get our mics fixed.
Yeah, I think you get, again, you have to have open for a hearing and then close it and then have the discussion for approval. So.
There was nobody here.
So, okay.
We opened it, nobody came up.
Did we officially open it? Do we have to vote to open a hearing? Because that's what we have to do.
Yeah, pretty much.
We have
Open.
to actually physically
Open.
vote to go to a
Open.
public hearing.
And
Okay.
then shut it,
Okay,
and then
so,
close it.
because this just says public notice hearing, it doesn't say to motion to
adopted.
open. So, do I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Public hearing is open. Is there anybody that would like to speak? Do I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close public hearing.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Public hearing is closed. Okay, Mr. Roush.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Again, if the budget agenda item, it's our budget revision, and we mainly have this budget revision because of increased enrollment. And so we budget usually a little bit conservatively, and we are one of the districts that is growing, so we're fortunate. So we revised our budget. That increased our base. And again, these numbers will probably change again because it's an estimate as of a certain day. We used the most recent amounts that we could use for this report. And in October or November, we'll have a reconciliation, so that'll change again. But it's positive news. So our budget revision came in a little bit higher, which adds to our base for next year. So again, basically, the general fund is now at $37,643,000. The DAA fund, district additional assistance, is $4,395,652. So I would recommend that we go ahead and approve the budget revision.
Any discussions, questions, or motions?
What is the amount difference between what our original budgeted base and the revision?
We do a budget revision because the enrollment has changed.
Right.
No, what was our
What was
original,
the change
our
of-
original
She's
budget
actually
amount when we
asking
started
for
the
the
beginning
actual
of this
change.
year?
What's the difference?
I
think?
don't have that
It
in
was
front of me, but I can get that, to you.
Okay.
I thought it was 34. We've had 2 revisions since we
Yeah.
The
started.
base was 34, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it was
The base
34,
was.
so but it's been because of student enrollment that we've gone up.
That's increased, yeah.
Okay, yeah, if you could just get me the amount from what we budgeted and then what the difference is with the new revision.
What the increase
The
is?
increases.
I just pulled up, I just pulled it up.
Yeah, I just don't have that in front of me, so.
Yeah, so it's,
Want to give him the microphone?
Oh,
general budget adopted was 36,689,542.
That was at the beginning of the year, that was our last adopted.
That was last adopted. That's
That
what
was
I
our
should be
last
looking for?
adopted at the beginning
That
of
was
the
our
year.
adopted
Yeah.
budget,
That's
right?
what you meant, right?
That was our adopted budget?
Yeah.
That was our last adopted budget. The beginning of the year was lower than that. We've had 2 budget revisions.
Since
Okay,
started, yeah.
that was the adopted budget in July
That was the July?
for
Yeah.
the
For
year.
this year.
Okay.
or
And now
sorry,
it's
next one.
what? What was the new number?
37.6.
So about $1 million additional?
Yeah. In the M&O, yes. We have 2. We have 2, the general budget, and then we have the DAA, both were
Right.
increased.
Right, but if we have $1 million more than what we budgeted for in July, shouldn't we have that million plus whatever else we're getting from the state for this next year?
for this next budget, that we should be trying to figure how to spend.
We spent some of it, right?
Well, we didn't budget for it, so what did we spend it on?
Enrollment growth?
Teachers.
But, okay, so I guess I would like to know what we spent that million on, if we spent it all, and if there's any unspent, because that seems to me, with general accounting principles, that we would have another $1 million, or unless, if we spent some of it, then whatever the difference is, going into next year, above and beyond what we're getting from the state.
Yeah, some of that's accounted for in our left side of our budget column, but yeah, we can give them more specific on that.
Okay. Thanks.
Well, didn't our budget base increase for next year? When we started the budget committee process, I thought our budget base had increased already.
Like 39.
Right, our budget base has increased. We can bring back what the expenditures are
Okay.
and how they've changed a little bit. You can see that in your financial report, though,
Right.
also, monthly financial report. So,
Yeah, but the monthly financial report is a lot of information and not plain English for most people on what we spend it on. But my question is, since if we budgeted for 36, but we are taking in 37, that's $1 million that we didn't budget for, but that's going to go forward into next year. And so what did we spend that extra million on that wasn't in the original budget, so that we can decide if that's what we want to do with it for next year?
Is it still to be had? Was it already eaten by enrollment growth?
what we can detail that out as you requested, so.
But in terms of enrollment growth, it doesn't cost us when a student joins our school. It costs us when we hire a teacher to service them. And we haven't hired additional teachers to address enrollment
I'm going to that
growth.
next level. Was that included with the, but I guess that would be covered by the override.
Right.
Well,
We only
well,
hired teachers
well,
based on the override.
Throughout the year, we have hired extra teachers for enrollment growth, and there's other things that we can detail out
Okay.
for you as requested.
Great.
And that also includes the overload stipends, too. Not that that's going to come
Yeah.
anywhere near that dollar
Right,
amount, but.
right, I'm sure, yeah, you pay overloads.
We paid the overload.
Probably overloads get
for
paid
some
out of that.
those- For
Right.
some of those students that
Absolutely.
came in, that enrollment growth. And some of them, any of the ESS students fall into this category at all?
Yes,
Of
that's
what-
in the
yeah.
M&O
And so-
also.
Right, some paras, but I just want to know what we spent it on, because we didn't budget for it.
Right.
And I understand why we didn't budget for it, because we didn't know.
No, right.
But I want to know what we spent it on, so.
So is the board
Well-
comfortable with moving forward to adopt
Yes.
this budget revision now, or would the board prefer to wait till the next meeting?
No, I'm comfortable adopting
I'm
it.
comfortable with voting for
All
it
right, so
today.
then do I have a motion for this?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
I'll give it to Mrs. Anderson. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And thank you, Mr. Roush, in advance for getting us that information on how we spent the money.
Yes.
All right, item E, discussion and possible approval of the award of the contract for our new math curriculum K through 8. Dr. Chestnut?
Well, Wade Watson is here, Director of Curriculum, and I want to thank him for leading the committee process on both the elementary and secondary adoptions, and the committees finished their work, and we have the K through 8 materials on display right here in front, so you can get a look at them after the meeting. Secondary materials have already been shipped up to the high school because they're dying to get their hands on that stuff, but it was a good process, and I know that Wade would be glad to take any questions you might have on it.
I have one question. Are we going to need any volunteers to be able to distribute this? PTA is going to have to be all over that because it's going to be an enormous shipment.
Distribute the curriculum?
Distribute the books.
Help deliver it.
Oh, let me tell you, those teachers are already buttoning at the bit. They've got their
I
SUVs
remember
already
moving
ready.
some
They're
books
ready to
back
back
in the
up.
day, but
They're
I
ready
know
to back up to the
for
to
this,
the
it's
warehouse,
going to
open
be
it up, and
school-wide,
take
so
it.
we're going to need some help.
I have a couple clarification questions. This is the curriculum that they just approved, right? That the committee approved? Okay. Because it says textbooks. It's more than textbooks, right?
Correct.
Okay. Because textbooks are, but it's software, it's the whole package.
It is the whole
Okay.
package.
I just want to make sure that people reading it, they understand that it's not just textbooks.
Right.
It's the entire package.
Correct.
Okay. And why is it different for 912? It's Pearson, but then it's McGraw-Hill. Is it still a continuum of the same curriculum?
For secondary, 912, the majority of their curriculum is Pearson. There was one book for financial lit that they did not like from Pearson. And so they liked the McGraw-Hill financial
Okay.
lit book. So
But
that
it's
is
still going to be in
only
the
exception.
continuum. It's still going to be in the scope sequence of the same curriculum.
Correct.
Okay.
Mrs. Anderson, we can't ask about something that's not on the current agenda item.
Well,
We have
I
to-
know,
we
but
have
I'm
to- we have
I'm
to wait till
asking
we
why
get to that
Pearson is
agenda.
different.
Yeah, but we have to wait till we get to that one.
It's okay. It's all part of the same curriculum.
We're going to follow the agenda items. Is there any other questions for Mr. Watson on the K through 8?
No, I just wanted to clarify. I wanted to make sure
Before you
before I
voted.
approved this,
Yeah.
that it was going to continue, that it was a continuous curriculum. That was my question.
Motion to approve?
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And item F is the discussion and possible
Yeah.
approval for the math curriculum for grades 9 through 12. Any questions or discussions?
If there's no further discussion, motion to approve as stated.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. We're going to have some extremely happy teachers. Item G, discussion and possible approval of the ADOT eminent domain proceedings. Dr. Chestnut?
Yes, we're very excited to be able to be part of this project with the city. It's going to be a great project for the city, and they need some of our land to make this bypass work. Mr. Roush has done all the work on this with the attorney from Udall-Shumway, and we're very pleased to be able to receive $326,000, I believe is the amount. We have about $26,000 of work to do, and we need board action.
Question, Dr. Chestnut, so the money that we get from this, we can do what with?
Mr. Roush tells me for capital projects, we could buy curriculum materials, but it would have to be for any other capital project.
Could that curriculum be PE equipment?
I believe so, yeah.
Just
to know.
curriculum? Could we buy shades?
Yeah, no, capital improvements, that would be
Okay.
capital
Yeah.
improvements.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Great.
Okay, that was the question I had. Any other questions?
Question, is this money been calculated into our budget for next year yet?
I didn't
It's
see
not
it as an
ongoing.
increase on that.
It's not ongoing, I know it's one-time.
I don't know.
One-time money,
I start
but
twitching before we even get the money, we were wanting to spend it.
I think we've given you the information, and
Smalls.
we haven't adopted our budget for next year, so that can be used for next year's budget. Obviously, it can't be used for certain things.
Right.
It's got to be capital outlay.
so we can add that to our one-time spending, on that one-time spending column on the budget, when we do our budget meeting on the 30th. Okay.
One-time spending.
Right.
Yes,
When
one
it's
time.
gone, it's gone. It can only be for capital outlay
Right.
items.
Okay.
Right?
Great.
All right.
Yep.
Awesome.
Can't be for staff.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's add it to the column. Motion to approve.
Second.
I have motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. All right, discussion and possible approval of the first reading of policy BDB, board officers. I asked Dr. Chestnut to please put this on with the revision. Part of what I'm liking to do is to be able to, for board members to have that mentorship, to take on leadership roles as they, fulfill their terms of service. And one of the things that we've already started implementing this year is having the vice president be part of planning the agendas. And so the other part I would like to do is to have the vice president run a meeting while I'm here. So I don't want to have to be absent in order for the vice president to continue on. But I wanted to make the language so that it wasn't required, it was optional, because boards will change. Different people will have different comfortabilities, how they want to be trained, what kind of mentoring they want. Everybody's different, and I wanted to make sure though, because I didn't want to do it against policy, and when we looked at it, we saw that no, we couldn't do this. So that's why I had asked that the language, that sentence be added, that the president may ask the vice president to preside at a particular meeting, even if the president is in attendance at that meeting. So that is why we are bringing this today.
I think it's a great idea. I was only going to recommend the addition of for the purpose of professional growth as a board member, because I assumed that was the goal for what you were going to do. And it was just a suggestion to add that on at the end to show the intent
Oh, I like
behind
that.
why you were doing it.
I like that a lot. Did you get that, Lisa?
I have a question.
Yes.
On this. I had asked Dr. Chestnut what the vice president role states, what the policy, the vice president, were you going to look that up for me?
Yeah, I double-checked that, all of the,
Because I'm just wondering if we change both of them at the same time.
yeah, this is the only policy that pertains to officer responsibilities, so there is no vice president policy.
So another suggestion I would have then is where it says board officers, put in there president/vice president.
Okay.
And then it just says, I would just, so that it addresses our need for a vice president role. The other thing I want to caution, and I think I brought this up before, is open meeting laws. And when you have a vice president and a president setting the agenda, there could be an open meeting law. What it does is you two have talked about the agenda, which means neither one of you can talk to any of us.
Correct.
So my concern with that is now you've got three people who can't talk to either one of you, whereas if just one person sets the agenda, then that one person can talk to another person. See what I'm saying? Like right now, neither one of, like, we can't go to you and say, hey, Patty, what's your advice on item blah, 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 blah. So that would be my only concern. I would say one or the other of you set the agenda and take turns with that versus both sitting in at the same time. That would be my only concern. Because I would like to be able to call anybody about a particular item, but what it's done is now it limits the three of us from calling either one of you.
Well, and actually, lately, just because of schedules,
Yeah, we've been doing.
she's been doing it with Steve, and then Steve's been sending it to me and asked. So we have had no contact on the agenda for like several meetings, actually.
Okay.
So that's actually something to consider.
And that's, I mean, if that's, I mean, I see that,
Yeah.
but to have two people on the same phone call, I would be concerned with that because it limits, I'm just talking about me, I don't know about the other board members, it limits me being able to call either one of you and ask about a particular item. And, or either one of the new board member couldn't call the president and ask, or, you know see what I'm saying? It limits. So I would just say, I would say one or the other would set the agenda, but not both at the same time.
Yeah, or we could do it like we do with Steve
Correct.
right now.
Yeah.
That we have lately. Right.
Yeah.
Because we're not talking.
We did it the first couple of times together, only so
Yeah.
that we could, the training part type, not
Right.
really training, but you know. But yeah, we can continue to do that a little bit
Yeah.
separate, where I will speak with Steve, and then Steve will also speak with Anna Marie separately, and we will not discuss it together.
Right.
No daisy chains now.
No daisy chains.
Okay, that would have been my only concern, and I just want to make, I just wanted to put that out there.
But, any board member can still go to Dr. Chestnut.
Correct.
With
But
any
sometimes it's
question
nice,
regarding the agenda.
right, but it's still nice to talk to another board member and say, what are you hearing from the committee? It's,
Right.
It's nice to be able to get somebody else's input.
Yes.
Okay. Any other feedback?
The only thing that came to my mind when I was looking at this, I mean, obviously the whole purpose is for board member growth and development, specifically the vice president. The only thing that just kind of was a suggestion, would it be important to maybe put twice a year that you two will, because the whole purpose is to, let me read this again, the president, maybe have the vice president up to twice a year run a meeting.
Preside.
I mean, I don't know.
I'll put a
if-
limit on it?
Yeah, or just a limit, or just, an expectation. This is the or the goal. I mean, this is the goal, maybe at least once a year or twice a year. I didn't know if you'd want to throw a number in here. I know that may, limit you, but that could be a
Well-
possibility in terms of as a target number of, at least twice a year, the vice president will run a meeting, or once a year,
The
but
only
that's the
thing with-
expectation.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. I think that would be great to do as a board goal setting in that leadership category. But I think if we put that in the policy, there may be a president coming down the line, or the next president that maybe doesn't want the vice president to lead. They're comfortable with doing it. And just putting it may kind of opens that up and makes it a little more flexible, because we all know that the board
sure,
the board
sure.
is fluid. It will change every
Sure.
4 years.
And I respect that. I mean, that's the other half. I mean, it's
Yeah.
relative, so.
Yeah. No, but I like your idea of adding it
Yeah.
to
Our board
our
goals.
board goals
Okay.
and our evaluation. I like that idea, and that's
Okay.
something that each board can, as we
They make their own,
make
right.
their own goals. I
Yeah.
like that idea.
Well, I'm glad that we're really focused on growth and development as board members, so I know that's important.
Okay, that was great discussion. Do I have any motions as it's been amended? And Lisa, did you get Mrs. Anderson's amendment? Okay.
A
Motion
motion
to-
to approve as amended. I apologize, Ms. Anderson.
Go ahead.
A motion to approve as amended.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Item I, discussion and possible approval of the first reading of policy EEAG. Dr. Chestnut?
Recommended changes on the rest of these from ASBA.
And this is because of
Liability?
statutes
Liability,
changing?
I'm sure.
Okay.
Can I also jump in there? I also
Sure.
know in dealing with other school districts, the very small school districts, their board members actually sometimes have to serve as bus drivers or serve as transporting students other places in the small districts. And so I think that is one of the reasons they've updated the policy, is to include board members, because that's really the only change, is they've added
Adding
board
the board,
members.
governing board.
And I think it has to do with the smaller districts where board members are actually doing double duty.
Is anybody aware of any, like, emergency clause or something like that, where if a teacher's placed in a position to where they can drive the student home because it's an emergency situation? I'm just curious if that exists, because sometimes the situation can be presented where a teacher is responsible for a student, and maybe you're not. At that point, you're responsible for them, and you may be responsible for their safety. I know that the situation comes up from time to time for teachers. So I just want to throw it out there, and I'm not recommending anything specific, but just maybe to look at it to see if we can find comparable policy to where we can factor that in somehow. Because as teachers, sometimes we're responsible for the students, and you're put in a position to where you're responsible for the student's safety, but you won't bring the student home because of the policy, because you can be dismissed over violating that.
Yeah, are you talking about this policy in particular? Because this says district employee, so a teacher is a district employee.
Well, they would be, so that's going to be, they would be included under this policy.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Yes,
Right.
this is covered.
So but isn't this, didn't we have, and maybe it was a policy that we were looking at, but that they were, I know that there was a policy that we were taking a look at that we were not able to transport students. Was it not under this one?
I've never heard that.
Okay, I'll look.
This is
I know
saying
that when I was going through, and I thought it was in this policy, to where that teachers were not able to transport under any.
They're not able to transport in their private vehicles. They have to be school-approved vehicles. So in a case of an emergency where a teacher had to take a student home.
That's what I'm referring to. I apologize
They
for.
would be able to get a school van.
Okay.
Do you know what I'm saying? They would have to get, this policy, it doesn't allow you to be, well, it actually does
It
say
says,
that.
this
It
is
does-
what it's about, is it's addressing,
The
if
private-
you use your private vehicle,
Right.
you
that- I
have to
knew-
show
I
that
knew
you
I
have
wasn't-
insurance.
I knew I had the right policy.
You have to show that
It's-
you have insurance. Normally, teachers will not take students home unless there are,
I was just, it's just because it's sometimes that, well, right, you don't want to ever, right, and you don't want to put yourself in that position, but there are times where teachers will be responsible for the safety of the student, and they won't transport because of that. And I've always wanted to be able to throw that out to where in an emergency situation, where if it was depending on the safety and well-being of the student, that no punishment would come on the teacher, almost like a Good Samaritan clause.
Right. But this policy states they can use it, but they have to provide their insurance.
Insurance.
That if should anything happen, their insurance is going to be responsible and the district would be secondary.
right.
Right.
That's all
That's
this
the main
policy
issue.
is
And
saying.
basically,
Primary and secondary
that's been the
insurance.
existing policy. They just added the governing board
Yes.
member to it.
But it does say it has
Yes.
to be pre-authorized.
Yes.
Yes.
And I also think that in the case of an emergency, they would probably call the SRO officer that's on duty to.
Right.
I mean, teachers don't normally have to.
I just wanted to throw it out there
yeah.
because I know sometimes there's certain situations where you have to make that choice.
No, that's why you stay and wait at the school till midnight, till mom and dad get there.
Motion to approve.
Well, I just wanted to ask one quick question. I
Okay.
think you answered my question, is that this mostly will refer to rural areas? Because my question was, when
Why
would
would
we
a board
ever
member?
be in a position
Right.
to transport anybody at any time? I couldn't think of, can you
It has
think of
never
any
happened,
scenarios? Okay.
but I do know that this was brought up by other rural districts to our ASBA's attorney to look at it, because they do have to transport students because some students live far away or whatever happens. And board members in rural districts do double duty.
Huh.
So they
the
not only
teacher and
serve
the
as
bus
board
driver?
members, they could be the bus driver, they could be.
I was going to say, sometimes even for sporting events where
Yeah.
you're out of town,
Sporting
and now
events.
you're a coach, and now you're in a
Yeah.
position where the student missed the bus, And you are now, you're
Yeah.
responsible for the well-being of the student. I just wanted to throw it out there just for someone to think about or look at, because I know that it exists from time to time for either coaches or teachers, to where you'll be placed in that situation to where it's the well-being. I know that we have several covers for that, but I just wanted to throw it out there just for something to look around if there is any kind of clause that exists in other policies.
Dr. Miller, did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay, so we have a motion on the table to approve from Mrs. Nord. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mrs. Anderson gets that. She's quicker.
Nice.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, the next one is discussion and possible approval of the first reading of policy EBB, which kind of is the same thing.
Kind of the same thing.
But it's for the business and personnel. Any questions, discussions on that?
No questions, motion to approve?
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and possible approval of first reading of policy EFDA, collection of money food tickets. Any questions or discussions?
I have questions. Dr. Chestnut, is this what we currently practice?
It is, and it talks about sending a letter home to kids.
Yeah.
Suzette already has that letter ready to go, so she's ready to comply with this.
Okay.
That's great.
Okay. Because I know they don't like it when they put stamps on the kid's hand. Your mom and dad are a loser.
We don't do that.
Okay. All right.
If there's no further discussion, I'll motion to approve as stated.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Discussion and possible approval of the first reading of policy JL, student wellness. Questions?
Again, my only question is this our current policy? I mean, are we currently doing this?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll motion to approve as written.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we removed M. So item N, approved to adjourn to executive session for A1. And this is to discussion or consideration of the contract matters regarding the superintendent. Do I have any motions?
Motion to adjourn to executive session.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. It is 9:25. We're going into executive session.